Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday afternoon, and thank you for joining us tonight for our City Commission meeting. We're going to kick off tonight with a call to order. Tonight, we're going to have the invocation by Dr. Ryan Tucker, Executive Pastor, Highland Park Baptist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you for coming, Pastor.
Let's pray. God, we thank you for today. We thank you for the things that you do for us. We thank you for loving us the way that you do. And we just pray right now for the city of Lynn Haven. We pray for the commissioners and all that are involved. We pray for the police officers and the workers. And God, we just ask that you would just protect them. God, we ask for wisdom as they make decisions. And God, we're so thankful for the community. We're so thankful that you love us. So thankful that Jesus saves us. We're so thankful for all that you do in our life. And we just pray right now that you would do far more for this city than we could ever think or imagine. We love you. We thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming tonight, Pastor Tucker. All right, we'll kick off tonight with some additions, deletions, and modification of agenda. City Manager.
Mayor, if you want to add that we've got Ms. Dina Ward here, Supervisor of Elections, to give a brief presentation on the possibility of changing our elections. If you would like to add that right after the proclamations. And then you and I had discussed moving the discussion of mayor and commissioner seals from your report to the consent agenda. And I've put a sheet in front of every commissioner there if they would like to review that.
Thank you for that. So if the commission will support, we have Ms. Nina Ward, our Supervisor of Elections from Bay County tonight. Thank you for coming, ma'am. It's a pleasure to have you with us. I would actually like to put her first thing up on the agenda to be able to talk to us in front of the proclamations, if that is acceptable. If not, we can do it immediately after the three proclamations. And then if you notice on the original agenda, under the mayor's report, there was a discussion of office seals. That was a disconnect between myself and CJ. I actually wanted that to be a unanimous consent discussion item for us. So I'd like to actually put that back up. This isn't anything we haven't already reviewed with the previous budget workshop, but just wanted to kind of formalize that tonight with formal city commission concurrence. So those are the two proposed changes.
And Mayor, we'd also like to recognize Commissioner Tender here via telephone.
Yes. So thank you for that, City Manager. I'm getting ahead of myself. So I guess first things first, we need a motion and a second to allow Commissioner Tender to support via phone tonight.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Before the city manager calls the roll, is there any public commentary regarding this motion? I don't mind saying it because Commissioner Tenders posted it on Facebook, but she recently had a heart issue and got a pacemaker put in, so she's recovering at home. She's doing great. That's the good news. But she just got out of the hospital yesterday, and she wasn't quite ready to bounce in here with us tonight. So with the rest of the commission's grace, we'll allow her to participate via phone tonight. So I have a motion and a second. Any comments? Hearing none, would the city manager call the roll?
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick?
Yes.
Mayor Lowry?
Yes, the ayes have it. Thank you all. And now back to the two modifications of the agenda. So first up would be Ms. Ward, followed by the proclamations. And then under unanimous consent, I'd like to bring up the proposed city seals. Any thoughts or suggestions?
Can we add to the agenda to talk about our way forward on looking at the ULDC?
Sure.
I think I just want to talk with everybody about what our way forward is at, because with the workshop we have, I feel like the zoning workshop we had, at a minimum, we need to start digging into the ULDC
So this would be a proposed new item under new business,
Yes.
say item number 21.
That's
Make it
fine.
21 just before public commentary.
Mhm.
So we'll call that ULDC way ahead. Would that be acceptable with the rest of the commission? All right. Hearing no further discussion, can I get a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any public commentary regarding this? Sure. Any item that we have a presentation on, public commentary will be open to the floor. Yes, sir. I don't have particular druthers either way. City manager? No? We can allow public commentary.
Is it discussion only, or is this something we're voting on?
Ms. Ward is just doing a presentation on the other possibility of election change discussions.
So we will have a robust discussion among the commission. So there will be a public opportunity. So, all right. Any other comments? Okay. Hearing none. City manager.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry.
Yes. The ayes have it. Thank you for your flexibility with the agenda there. All right. First thing up tonight is going to be our esteemed supervisor of elections, Ms. Nina Ward. Ms. Ward, thank you for coming and being with us tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, well, my presentation is going to consist of me just kind of explaining all the facts. This is a growing trend in kind of Florida. So what I want to talk to you about is the possibility of moving your city election from April to coincide with the countywide timeline. So there's several cities that have already made this change, and that's really my purpose of being here, because you are doing a charter review as well. So Panama City Beach has already moved theirs, as well as Callaway, and then the city of Panama City, as part of their charter review, is also looking at this. So now would be the time, since we, won't necessarily have Municipal Super Tuesday in April anymore, with so many cities deciding to change. I just kind of want to put the options out there. I don't necessarily have a personal opinion. I just want to kind of give you the facts. There's pros and cons depending on how you look at things. The most obvious benefit for moving the election date is voter turnout. So no surprise, voter turnout is typically a lot higher in the general elections in November, slightly lower in August primary. It's slightly more complicated for Lynn Haven, since your charter currently requires a runoff election. So if no candidate gets 50% plus one vote in your April election, there's a runoff in May. So right now, that would look like your primary would be August, your runoff would be moved to November. Now, there are other options that there's another city currently looking at that is in the same scenario as you, where if, say, you had more than two candidates, you would automatically go to or less than two candidates would automatically go to November. If you had more than two candidates, it would create that primary in August, and then the runoff would be in November. So basically, your decision would always be made in the November election with the highest turnout, if that's what you're looking for. Looking back, 5 out of your last 8 elections have resulted in a runoff. So statistically, you always see that runoff election more than not for Lynn Haven. So let's see. The average turnout for the presidential years are about 75% in the general, and then we see 23% in the primary. Looking back over the past 2 mayoral elections, you had just under 22% turnout for Lynn Haven in 2025. And then there was 2 commission seats along with 3 city referendums that were on a ballot, and the turnout was 19%. So that's a big difference when you look at the presidential election in November with 75%, when your municipals in April are getting, 19 to 22%. Currently, your city elections are on an odd year. So I would say the downside to trying to change your election timeline is it's going to have to extend some terms. So your current terms that are up in 2027, you would be extending those terms to be up in 2028 on the presidential cycle. And then the terms that are up in 2029 would move to 2030. So everyone's terms would be extended by a year and a half. So that's, that's significant to think about. And then we get down to not just looking at pure voter turnout, but when you look at voter apathy, which is a big topic, and it is a real thing. Some people refer to it as ballot roll-off. So as you get, down ballot contests, typically you're going to see more undervotes, which are people not making choices. Now, sometimes that can be apathy, where they're just tired of filling in ovals and they don't care anymore when they get to the end of the ballot. But most likely it's people that aren't as informed on your local contest. So say we put the city of Lynn Haven mayor on a presidential ballot. Most people are there because they want to vote for president, right? However, they may not make a choice when they get to the down ballot contest. Just statistically, we looked back at the 2020 presidential election. We had 14,000 people that did not make a choice in a county commission race that was on that ballot. So they made a choice. We had 75% turnout for the presidential contest. By the time we got down ballot, they did not make a choice on county commissioner. So basically, out of 93,000 people that voted, 14% didn't make a choice on the county commission race. However, they voted for president and other issues. In contrast, when we look at Lynn Haven election specifically, if they show up for a municipal election, they know what they're voting on. There's very limited issues on the ballot. So let's see, we had 47 undervotes in your last election. So 1.5% of people that showed up to vote didn't make a choice on a city commission race, whereas, we had 14,000 or almost 14% didn't make a choice when we were on the general ballot for county commission. So voter apathy is a real thing. I want to mention that. So you can't just look at, yes, you're increasing turnout. However, are they going to actually make a choice on the city race when they get all the way down the ballot? We don't know. In turn, that can affect candidates. Not only does it extend your election timeline, so candidates would qualify further out. Candidates for the November election would be qualifying in June, right along county level, state level, national level candidates. So they're going to have to work harder. I mean, that's, I don't want to speak too much on behalf of candidates because I really want to focus on voters. We want to provide, access and education for voters. We want them to show up and vote. I want the highest voter turnout possible. I want everybody to show up. But it does have an effect on candidates and campaigns. It could get more expensive or less expensive. I don't have data to back that up specifically, but you have to think your city candidates are going to be competing for signage, advertising, donations, all along with your county, state, national level candidates at the same timeline. So there's a lot to think about. Ultimately, it does save the city money. So in 2025, Lynn Haven's elections cost about $31,000, and that is just reimbursed to my office for our actual cost of running the election. So currently, I'm contracted to administer the election. However, the city manager / clerk is the chief election official. So they are still involved in making the decisions, whether to have early voting, how many early voting sites, days, hours, all of that is, the city clerk that makes that decision. So if you move to the countywide timeline, the city clerk is essentially removed from that process. They don't have any say-so on early voting or locations. We just roll on to the countywide ballot, which my office determines, early voting dates, times, locations. Currently, you do just have one early voting site in Lynn Haven. That's the senior center. So we've had minimal complaints about the use of that, but I'm not going to say we haven't had none because we have had some that were tying up the senior center for the seniors not to be able to use it. So, that is one thing. We wouldn't be using the senior center for that week, in April, just in November and August. But that has been very minimal. as far as complaints that I've heard about us using that site. However, for the general and the primary, we do have 8 early voting sites, so you are giving your voters more opportunities, more days. We have extended early voting hours, and then Lynn Haven actually has 5 election day precincts when we get to the county-wide timeline versus your one site for your city elections in April.
So Nina, just to clarify, you said our cost last year was 31,000.
That was for your regular election in April plus your runoff in May.
Okay. And if we were to join a county-wide election ballot, let's say you have 8 early voting sites, a Lynn Haven voter could go to any of those and get a Lynn Haven printed on demand ballot. Is that correct?
Yes. So not only would the cost be absorbed, I think I mentioned that, so there would be no cost to the city if you go onto the countywide timeline. We already send sample ballots. We already, create ballots. We use what is called a direct print method. So no matter what early voting site you go to, we code the ballot, and I don't want to get too much into the weeds and bore you, but the way we set our systems up now, we have the technology to designate when you show up to vote, we know we print your ballot style for where your address is. And then the next person behind you, they get their ballot for wherever their address is. So logistically, it's possible, that's what we're currently doing. We have hundreds of ballot styles based on precinct splits. So, that logistically, it's really a non-issue with the technology that we have now. It's more about, providing access. And I know I've heard people say you're going to get uneducated voters showing up in the primary and the general voting on city issues that they may not be as knowledgeable on. That is not for me to decide. We just want to provide, the access, and then it would be up to the candidates to get their name out there and get them educated on what they stand for and get the support. So it probably would be a little more difficult for your city candidates. But again, I don't have data to back that up. That's just my guess on that from what I've heard. So any other questions?
Commission, anybody got any questions for Nina?
I'm pretty educated on this because it's something I've looked at, and I know me and Ms. Ford have had extensive discussions on this. My recommendation for anyone on the commission and any of the residents, listen to the Panama City Commission meeting on, I think it's in January 2024. I think it's around an hour and 50 mark. That's when they had, Commissioner Street had originally brought up of possibly moving theirs. And then that's when Mark Anderson was Bay County Supervisor election. They got a lot of good discussions about that. And he provided a lot of great input. I'll say this, on its face, it sounds good. But there's a lot of things to look at. Like, for instance, the canvassing board, we no longer do the canvassing board. That's all done at the county level. Now, I don't know what happens if you have to have a special election. I think that gets a little muddy, doesn't it?
Yeah, so if you have a special election, it would be, paid for by the city. You would have a city canvassing board just like you have now. Okay. You would have to pay for a special election if you're not on that countywide timeline.
Right. Mm-hmm. But one of the points that Mark Anderson brings up is he relates it to Miami-Dade, where by the time you have all your federal candidates, all your state candidates, if you have any referendums and all your local candidates, you might be talking at least 3 sheets of a ballot that you're going to have to bubble in. And then you start suffering from what's called voter exhaustion. And of course, the local election, starts at federal, then state, then county, and then local. And by the time they get to local, we're at the bottom. So how interested they're going to be on the ballot by the time they get to that point. Yeah. So it's a lot to think about.
Nina, could you talk to what the other municipalities in Bay County are doing? Because some are actually moving to this and some of the others are not. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned Panama City Beach and Callaway, they already moved theirs. They do not have a runoff, so theirs is very simple. They're just moving to the November timeline. Panama City is under charter revision, charter review, just like Lynn Haven. And so I think that's something that they are considering. They're going to put it on a ballot for the voters to decide this fall. So
you said $31,000, but that included the regular municipal election and the runoff. So it'd
Correct.
probably be about half if we didn't have a runoff.
correct. Yeah, it was roughly 15,000 and some change for each election.
And just for all of our edification as well, the date that you need any changes or anything that we as the city commission are putting forward for the referendum on August 18th, you need that by June 12th, correct?
Yeah, the end of qualifying.
COB on the 12th, correct? Okay.
I'm trying to figure out what's the push on this. You know,
So this is actually being discussed across the major municipalities in Bay County. So I specifically talked to the city manager and asked to invite Nina to come speak to us and tell us what is going on in Bay County and what the move is afoot countywide.
right? My personal opinion, I think since we have a charter review committee now, I think it's something they need to look at and then provide a recommendation to us.
So on that note, city attorney, does our current election process, is it outlined in ordinance or is it actually in charter verbiage?
It's in the charter.
Okay, so it is a normal charter amendment. It is not an ordinance to change.
Yes and no. The dates you can change without, even though it affects the charter, you can change the dates of an election without a referendum. If you were speaking of eliminating the runoff, that would require a charter referendum, a referendum.
But the charter specifically states when our elections are.
Curiously, it only states when your runoffs are.
Now, there's 2 sections to it, I thought.
Okay. The Florida statutes authorize a charter amendment regarding the date of election without a referendum. So even though it is in your charter, if you're only changing the date, you can do that without a referendum. You can still have a referendum, but you're authorized to do it without.
That muddies the water. Thank you for that. I mean, I guess it makes sense. And as it is currently outlined, I'll have to go back and relook at it again. Does it specifically state in the charter, like we do this the second Tuesday after the first Monday in April? Or does it just say the month of April?
So section 31 of your charter says that runoff shall happen the third Monday in May after the general election. I did a word search for the word April and I couldn't find it in the charter or code. So I don't know if there's a resolution or separate policy that states April. I couldn't find it on a quick search in Municode. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Any other commission questions?
I think we already, like Commissioner Warwick said, we already have the Charter Review Committee. If this is a big deal, could we request that they make this the next item they look at?
We will have the runway, to use an Air Forceism, we'll have the time. But if we want the Charter Review Committee to look at that, we probably need to ask them to do it at their next biweekly meeting.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Because as Ms. Ward just said, we have until COB, close of business, on June 12th to get whatever we're going to have in for the August 18th referendum to her office.
Yeah, I think, to me, it would look bad if we at least didn't have the Charter Review Committee look at it. If we're voting for something that like would extend our 4 years to 5.5 years, like us just voting on it, like, can you imagine if Congress did that? If they just raised their hand and be like, hey, like to be elected for an extra 1.5 years. All right, guys, let's vote on it. How well would that go over, you know?
I am surprised it's 1.5 years. I assumed it would be like an extra 6 months maybe as you move from April to November of the same year.
Well, so our countywide elections are on even years. Lynn Haven's elections are on odd years.
So that's because we're the odd duck, calendar speaking.
So to speak,
wise.
yes.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Well, actually, I think, because Panama City does it is in the odd year too. So we're not the only ones.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what it says in the charter. It says elections shall be held on the Tuesday immediately following the third Monday in April with necessary runoff election to be held the Tuesday immediately following the third Monday in May.
Yeah, that is in section 11. I missed that until we pointed it out.
Well, again, I wanted us to all have visibility on what our other municipality brothers and sisters are doing. This is an option to save money. I think if we were to make any change whatsoever, this would absolutely have to be a referendum to the people. And it would have to be a thumbs up or thumbs down from them. But the other municipalities, many of them are actually doing it. So at least to get a brief on, just because they're doing it doesn't mean we have to. But if there is some logic to it, and again, what is our goal? A smaller, more educated voter base showing up, or do we want more voter participation? And those aren't necessarily inherently congruent things, but they're not also completely disjointed either. So, Ms. Ward, I truly appreciate you coming. Any other questions from the commission for Ms. Ward? City Manager? All right. Ms. Ward, thank you tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome back anytime, ma'am. All right. With that, all right, so moving along, we have 3 proclamations to give. The first one is National Police Week, then National Public Works Week, and last but not least, National Safe Boating Week. So the first one will be National Police Week. And we will be presenting this after I'm done reading it. We'll be presenting to the Lynn Haven Police Department. So, proclamation. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in May 15th falls on National Police Week. Currently, tens of thousands of law enforcement officers from around the world converge on Washington, D.C. to participate in several planned events which honor those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the City of Lynn Haven Police Department. And whereas, as of early 2026, the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial has officially engraved 24,775 names on its walls in Washington, D.C. This number includes federal, state, local, tribal, and military law enforcement professionals who have made the ultimate sacrifice and killed in the line of duty. Whereas it is important for all citizens to recognize the duties and responsibilities and hazards and sacrifices undertaken by our brave men and women in law enforcement, whose unwavering commitment ensures that our families, communities may thrive in peace. Now, therefore, on behalf of the City Commission and the people of Lynn Haven, I, Dave Lowry, Mayor of the City of Lynn Haven, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim and recognize the week of May 10th through the 16th, 2026 as National Police Week, as we publicly express sincere gratitude to the men and women of law enforcement that make it possible for us to leave our homes and our families in safety each day, knowing that they stand ready to protect our loved ones, our property, our freedoms, even at risk to their very own lives. Newly promoted Captain Brian Bullock. Captain Blaylock, I owe you a beverage of your choice, sir. All right. With that, proclamation, National Public Works Week. Proclamation, the theme of the 2026 National Public Works Week is rooted in service powered by community, celebrating the deep roots of service that drive infrastructure, innovation, and community connection that gives public works its sense of purpose. Public work professionals are ever present, working in the background to advance quality of life and meeting the needs of all people. Whereas the Rooted in Service Powered by the Community theme highlights both visible services, roads and bridges, as well as hidden services, i.e. water and sewer, to create the foundation for thriving communities, reminding us that every project, seen or unseen, powers the connection between service and the people it supports. Whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government, and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transport, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essentials to our citizens. Whereas it is in the public interest of the citizens, civic leaders, and children of the city of Lynn Haven to gain knowledge of and maintain the ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs for their respective communities. Whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. There, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Lynn Haven, on behalf of the city commission and all citizens of Lynn Haven, I do hereby declare the proclamation the week of May 17th through 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week, and urge all citizens to join the representatives of the American Public Works Association to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. We'll now have our public works representatives come forward to present or receive this.
Here we've got Casey Westfall, our utility superintendent, and Adam Chambers, our assistant superintendent for public works.
All right. Thank you for your patience tonight, y'all. One more. Proclamation. Whereas over 100 million Americans, boating continues to be popular recreational activity from coast to coast and everywhere in between. People are taking to the water and enjoying time together, boating, sailing, paddling, and fishing. Whereas during National Safe Boating Week, the U.S. Coast Guard and its federal, state, and local safe boating partners encourage all boaters to explore and enjoy Americans' beautiful waters responsibly. Whereas boating safety begins with preparation, the U.S. Coast Guard estimates that human error accounts for the most boating accidents and that life jackets could prevent nearly 86% of boating fatalities. Whereas through basic boating safety, carrying life-saving emergency distress and communications equipment, wearing life jackets, attending safe boating courses, participating in free boat safety checks, and staying sober while navigating, we can help ensure boaters on America's coastal, inland, and offshore waters stay safe through the season. Whereas National Safe Boating Week is observed to bring attention to important life-saving trips for recreational boaters so that they may have a safer, more fun experience out on the water throughout the year. Whereas on average, 650 people die each year from boating-related safety incidents in the United States. 75% of those fatalities are by drowning. Whereas the vast majority of these accidents are caused by human error or poor judgment and not by the boat, equipment, or environmental factors. Whereas a significant number of boaters who lose their lives during drowning each year would be alive if they had worn their life jackets. Now, therefore, we support the goals of the Safe Boating Campaign and urge all of those who boat to practice safe boating habits and wear a life jacket at all times while boating. And by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Lynn Haven, on behalf of the city commission and all citizens of Lynn Haven, do declare May 16th through the 22nd, 2026, National Safe Boating Week. And we will have Mr. Tony White of the Coast Guard Auxiliary receive this. All right. Thank y'all for that. Now we're on to the consent agenda. So first things first, number 7, approval of minutes dated April 10th and April 28th. Can I get a motion for approval of the minutes?
Did you want the,
I'll second it.
Mayor, you also moved that to the consent agenda.
I was going to go ahead and do the logos after we did the approval of the minutes.
Well, the consent agenda is one item.
Oh, duh. Okay, my bad. All right, so let's talk about this real quick then. So approval of the minutes, that's not a big thing. The other thing that I'm showing, and everyone here, Judy, I apologize, ma'am. I don't have a way to beam it to you in front of you, but these are the same logos we looked at during our first budget workshop with the department heads about a month and a half ago. So if you would, Harold, go ahead and put these up on the screen for our public. All right. So what we have here, Commission, is the top logo, the oval logo, is actually our formal city logo. What I am proposing and asking for unanimous consent on tonight is the three subordinate logos beneath it. So I actually envisioned this. I did this as part of a coin design, actually. The one on the far left, the Office of the Mayor. But it looked so good with nautical rope along the outside of it, much like the U.S. Navy does for many of its coins and different command seals. And it still keeps the core original of our city logo together. So it makes the city logo itself distinguished, but then the key officers for the city, the key leaders, if you will, we would have the Office of the Mayor logo, a corresponding city commissioner logo, and then we would have a city manager logo. I envision these being incorporated into challenge coin designs, perhaps business cards, or for PowerPoint presentations when you're making an official presentation on behalf of your office. You could use this logo just as well as you could the city logo, but it's a little bit more personalized. And Harold, if you go to the next slide, this is just an example. You take that same standard logo and it could be personalized with the commissioner's name, the mayor's name, or the city manager's name. They could also use this for their business card or a presentation. I've already showed this to everyone once in the budget meeting. I just wanted to bring this forward once more. This would not be a mandatory logo to use, but it would be an optional logo for you to use for your office if you so choose to use it. So that is what I am proposing for unanimous consent tonight. So any questions or discussion about the logos amongst the commission?
did you notice that all 6 of us go by a nickname? It's pretty crazy.
I did not. Keen eye there. I guess that's what you get for being a cyber ninja, huh? You look at all that. All right, cool. All right, any discussion there? If not, I will also open it up to
Mayor?
the, yes, ma'am.
Mayor, I just wanted to ask, I don't know who was just speaking. I think it was Sam.
It was.
Okay, said something about a nickname. What did he say? I couldn't hear him.
He just noticed that all 6 of us, including the city manager, the 4 commissioners, and myself, we all go by a nickname instead of our full formal name.
Oh. Okay.
We hadn't noticed it either.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am. All right. But that is a minor thing, but administratively, I wanted to go ahead and get the commission's approval before we press forward with this. Any questions from the public about this? None? All right. Well, if hearing none, can I get a motion and a second for approval of the unanimous consent agenda, the 2 approval of the minutes for April 10th and 28th, and the commission approval for optional use of the city-specific logos?
I'll motion to approve.
Thank you. I have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. I've already asked once, but I'll ask once again. Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none. City Manager, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry.
Yes. Thank y'all for that. If you at any time decide to do a coin design or a business logo or something, I'll be glad to help y'all if you would like to use those logos. But they're now there and available for all of us to use. All right. So next, we're down to item number 8, old business, discussion and possible approval, first reading of updated draft ordinance number to be determined, establishing non-ad valorem requirements for the city charter. City Attorney.
This ordinance adopts the 7 elements for notice and public disclosures for non-ad valorem assessments. It is limited to just those 7 items, and it is a charter amendment change. This change has not been made in your assessment ordinance, which is what I understood to be your intention. But if that's not so, please correct me.
So, and I'll let the rest of the commission speak up as they see fit. There's been some discussion back and forth. Should this be in the charter, or should it be by an ordinance? And there are pros and cons to both. Philosophically, I think it should be in the charter. And the reason I do is you put in the charter any hardcore yes or no requirements. You cannot press forth with an ad valorem assessment unless you give the public these 7 pieces of information. Whereas if it's in an ordinance, 3 of us on any given day could strike down that ordinance and call it a day, right? Whereas if it's in a charter, it is much more permanent, much like a tattoo. Before a non-ad valorem goes out, we have to share these 7 pieces of information with the public. We have to do our due diligence to make sure they're informed of specifically what we're asking or what we're attempting to do here. But there's also the other 4. Philosophically, it may not need to be in the ordinance, or it need not be in the charter, but be in the ordinance instead. So if any of the other commissioners want to speak to this?
I think it was, Commissioner Work, did you bring it up being an ordinance last time instead?
I don't know if I brought it up being an ordinance or not. I just brought up that to me, anything in the charter is supposed to be government framework. Anything that, maybe it is, because then anything done by ordinance, well, we were policy decision making. So
Yeah.
to me, it was more policy decision making. So that would be by ordinance.
So the more I thought about it, I mean, I thought, or based on our last talk about it, I think it was pretty much a consensus that we all wanted the 7. I think that's a no-brainer.
Yes.
And thank you to the Charter Review Committee for putting that together, because the Charter Review Committee is the one that came up with that. But the more I thought about it, the more I tend to agree with Commissioner Warwick on this. If it's one of those things where the main thing I wanted on it is that the limit is there, and that is the way it's written. It is one of the 7 that we'd have to put a limit on, a yearly annual limit. I mean, if we all agree on it and we know it needs to be there, and then we'd have to take the chance of, I don't know. I just feel like I agree with Commissioner Work. It's more of a policy than it is a charter type item. That's kind of where I'm at.
So just to clarify, we have 2 different things here really kind of in the mix. One is the caps, the limit on the increase. And we can talk about that philosophically. There might need to be a provision for some kind of major natural disaster, Hurricane Michael type thing. If we were to say, for example, you cannot increase a non-ad valorem assessment more than 10% a year versus the 100% that the stormwater increased for some of the higher tiers last year, my own home included. If we were to say you can't increase any more than 10% a year, that's one thing. And you could say if there would be an allowed freezing for 12 to 24 months, for example, if there is a major natural disaster, presidentially declared, governor declared disaster, another Hurricane Michael, right? You might want to freeze that for specific reasons. But outside of a major natural disaster, and for any of us that have lived through Michael, we know exactly what that's like. Our whole world turned upside down for a while. Outside of that, you should not be able to increase that any more than a designated rate. Yes, it does kind of limit the power of the city, but it also gives much more predictability to the taxpayers. As far as the 7 questions go, moving aside from the cap, the percentage cap for a moment, the core 7 question requirement that we would be required to answer. I'm pretty passionate. We really need to put that in the charter. We have a unique opportunity to do so. That doesn't limit us in any way, but what it does is it puts down a hardcore requirement. Before you can do a non-ad valorem, you have to basically plan your work and work your plan, meaning we have to tell the voters and the taxpayers of Lynn Haven, this is what we are proposing here. This is what we're moving forward with, and here's all the information that we're required to give you. And it should paint the full picture of costs, what it's for, when it starts, when it ends. I mean, it's basically the who, what, when, where, and how.
I don't think anyone's disagreeing with that. The ordinance would do the exact same thing.
But if we put it in the charter, it makes it permanent. If you put it in an ordinance, any three of us could kill it on a given Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, but any three of us could put it on the ballot again and then have the voters kill it too. I mean,
But the voters would kill it, not us. That's the difference. Like, we would have to put this up for the voters to approve now. And I think most folks would violently agree with that. If you're going to tax us, at least give us the full picture of what you're taxing, for when and how much, for how long.
I hear you. It sounds to me like you're implying that if we don't put it in the charter, then we're holding back information from the public.
No, not at all. I'm just trying to make it as permanent as a tattoo versus a temporary tattoo. Because if we put it in the charter, there's a degree of permanency because the citizens will actually vote on it. Let's assume for a second they vote to approve it as a referendum. Then it goes it's literally in the books until a charter review committee review process goes through it again, and then the citizens would up or down changes. It's more permanent. That's the only difference.
Yes.
Mayor, is this the first reading?
Yeah. Yes, it's just the first reading.
So we don't have to vote on it tonight, right?
No, ma'am.
That's correct, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
But it is a bit of a philosophical question. I just wanted, among the five of us teammates, I wanted to work out kind of how we're going to stand with this so we can finalize it at the next meeting.
So how does this impact our current non-ad valorem for stormwater? Does that mean we have to do this, or does that get grandfathered in?
In my mind, this is just an additional notice requirement that would come. You do your annual resolution every year. So we would, if this were approved in April, or excuse me, at your next election, June, August. Yes. You have until September to do your annual resolution. We would include these elements in your notice. If we couldn't because of timing, you adopted your annual resolution before the voters voted on this, it would be grandfathered and it wouldn't be a requirement until next year.
If it was the make or break, if that was the only way that the rest of the commission or a majority of the commission would feel comfortable approving this, we could specifically grandfather in the one current non-ad valorem in place. But I still think that it should meet all of the reporting requirements moving forward, just like any new non-ad valorem would.
That's the way I understood it, is establishing a non-ad valorem. So it's like when you initially establish a non-ad valorem, but every year after that, you don't have to do this. Am I wrong on that?
It's up to y'all what you think. In my mind, an assessment is only valid if you do it every single year. So a proposed assessment is an annual decision you make.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask the city attorney, when she reviews the state statute and what it says about notifications for non-ad valorem assessments. And does she know that answer? If not, I can call her tomorrow.
I'm not certain what the question was. There is a notice requirement.
Of state requirements, if you change your methodology or change any of the underlying kind of guts of your non-ad valorem, there's a lot of public information requirements that are derived from that at the state level.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So really, this is more kind of a pulse of the commission. I think we're all in agreement. This is a good, inherently good thing to do. It's just a matter of ordinance or charter.
I mean, to me, the way I would like it to be is any new non-ad valorem assessment, since we already had the stormwater. I hope, I hope that in the future we don't have to do any assessments. And I know we already discussed this about property taxes and that. We don't know what the future holds, but hopefully we don't have to go down that road again.
We see inherent goodness here. And for those of you, real quick, that in the audience that may not have heard this before, what this is truth in advertising, basically, with non-ad valorems. We will have to tell you before any non-ad valorem can be established when it will be started and when it will end, and basically what the requirement is and what that money will be used for and where and how. So it's basically a transparency intent here to make sure, and there'd be a reporting requirement. So whether this is a formal letter that has to go out to every tax-paying citizen in Lynn Haven or every registered voter in Lynn Haven, there would be a formal requirement, and there would probably be a couple, via electronically, by mail, to make sure that we've done our due diligence to inform the public before any formal vote is taken by the city commission. And that's what this is here. Do we put it in an ordinance, or do we put the requirement for this in the city charter? The city charter, it makes it permanent. And so if we need to use the term any newly established non-ad valorem beyond whatever date this is, August 18th, the referendum date, 2026, so be it. But any further non-ad valorem from our city commission or any future city commission, even my unborn grandchildren's future city commissions, unless future charter review committees change this and is approved by future voters of Lynn Haven, every commission going forward will be required to give out those 7 questions and all the information publicly ahead of time for the charter.
So the 2 amendments I hear are we would add a sentence to public disclosures prior to approval from and after September 2026. No new non-ad valorem assessment programs shall be imposed levied without these 7 public disclosures.
Yes.
Does that address?
That adjust your.
What do you think, Commissioner Peebles?
I definitely am not going to say no to that. Yeah. I think I would like to see some more guardrails for the one we already have, but that doesn't have to be discussed today.
That would actually kind of muddy the waters. This is a straightforward requirement, transparency requirement for all future non-ad valorems, period. Commissioner Tender, do you have any thoughts on this, ma'am?
No, sir, not right now. I don't.
Okay. Commissioner Perno, any thoughts, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm good with exactly what Commissioner Warwick was saying as far as policy versus basically it's I just feel like we just need to let this go and move forward, you know. So
Yes, sir. All right. So I think we have a way forward here.
Read the ordinance before you leave this item, please.
Go ahead and read it as it is stated. An ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, proposing amendments to Section 6 of the city's charter to establish requirements for non-ad valorem assessments, providing that the proposed amendments shall be effective only upon the approval of referendum as specified in the ordinance.
Okay. So you have basically our inputs here, City Attorney. So it's a matter of just refining this for our more official next reading, and we'll move forward from there. I know that was a little painful, and I'm sorry for those of you in the audience kind of watching. This is sausage making literally at the local level. I think this will be a very good product with your concerns, Commissioner Warwick, Commissioner Peebles, woven into this. And it should be something that will be helpful to the future city commissions as well as Lynn Haven city residents today and in the present. So, all right. Moving on to item number 9 on the agenda. Final reading of ordinance 1188, proposing amendments to the charter establishing the office of the city clerk, plus conforming changes, department head appointment clarification, and whistleblower designations. Over to you, Amy.
This ordinance has not changed since your first reading. It is ready to go. If you approve it tonight, I will bring back ballot language at your next meeting to put it on the ballot.
Okay. We've all discussed this at quite lengths before. If there's no other discussion for this tonight, I'll ask the city manager to read it, and then we'll discuss from there.
Ordinance number 1188, an ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, proposing amendments to Article 3 of the city's charter, establishing the office of city clerk and making conforming changes throughout Article 3 and Article 4 related to the duties of the city clerk, clarifying the procedure for appointment of department heads, designating all charter positions as whistleblower complaint recipients, providing that the proposed amendments shall be effective only upon the approval of referendum as specified in the ordinance.
For those of you that have not been attending meetings every other week, this one is basically kind of an important but mixed bag of tweaks for the referendum. These were done in conjunction with the Charter Review Committee, spearheaded by Mr. Corey Langford, its chairman, and Ryan Scray, its vice chairman. And what we have here is we are establishing the office of the city clerk. Currently, the city clerk is a dual hat role with the city manager. We are segregating those into basically a power tag team, but you would have a city clerk responsible for funding and policy, so a treasurer, if you will, plus administrative policies and programs, whereas the city manager will literally be leading the vast majority of the people, the day-to-day operations. So the personnel and operations on one side and the money and policy on the other. They work together. They both report to the city commission along with the city attorney. And then all three would be designated as whistleblower designees, the city attorney, the city manager, and the city clerk, that any city employee could go to and bring up an issue and receive whistleblower protections from. So, since this is a final reading, this would be for a vote. So can I get a motion for approval? Bueller.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm just trying to decipher here what we're saying.
Okay.
By approving this, does it mean that the city clerk, of which we don't have one right now, will be in charge of finances or be the same as the finance person, and that the city manager strictly will deal with people and jobs?
Well, Commissioner Tender, this goes back to the org chart that Commissioner Warwick presented.
Yeah.
Ms. Myers.
No,
But-
this charter amendment does not do that. You have that opportunity to do it when you create your job description.
Right, because in there it says additional duties as the commission
Designates.
Yes,
designates.
So,
Does that answer your question, Commissioner Sanders?
No, give me a second shout there.
So in there it says,
yeah.
we, the commission, can give the city clerk additional duties as designated, but the way it's currently written, it doesn't give them the financial responsibilities.
Okay. And who is our city clerk right now?
Right now, it's the city manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if we take him out of the equation, then who jumps into that spot?
We would make that determination because we would become the hiring authority for the city clerk. Well,
Okay,
it's got to
but-
go on referendum first. If it passes the referendum, then yes, we, the commission, would hire a city clerk. That city clerk would work for the commission.
Okay. All right. That makes sense to me. Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
thank you, Commissioner Warwick. All right, so we are looking at the final reading of this ordinance. which would allow us to submit this to Ms. Ward for the August 18th referendum. So at this point, it is motion. We need to vote on it, correct?
I don't think there was a motion, Mayor.
Kind of motion.
Well, we need to vote, or we need to vote on it if we're going to move forward with it, submitting it to Ms. Ward. So are there any concerns or discussion among the commission before we move to vote? Any concerns?
I don't.
Nope. I guess I'll just say, there was a time when I wasn't for the clerk because back then in the career field I work in, I've seen that it works better to have the way it was presented. It was simply a basically separate of duties to basically be an auditor. And in my mind, when you have auditors work day to day with staff, it doesn't work very well. But over time, and new data was presented to me. I'm sure you all remember that meeting. Well, not all of you. There was 3 of us up here. Miss Kiki came up here and was like, "Hey, I've got this information that I need to give you." So I was like, "Okay." So I met with her either the next day or the day after that. I gathered all the information. I gave it to the public. I talked about it. And it really opened my eyes to, holy cow, I was mistaken. And, I've always tried to be open-minded and open to new information when it comes to me. And, that's what happened. And so at this point, in the type of government we have with the city where we've got 5 members of a board, it definitely makes sense to have the clerk at this point with the new information that I've gathered. And yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Peebles. Any other commissioner got questions, discussions, thoughts they want to share?
I have a lot of thoughts I want to share, but I don't know if you want me to wait until we have a motion.
No,
or
go
just-
ahead. Let's get it out before we do our motion.
All right. So first, I want to say thank you to the Charter Review Committee for making this recommendation, looking at this and making the recommendation to establish a city clerk under the city commission. I support this recommendation for the same exact reason I brought this up on 4 separate occasions, because it strengthens the checks and balances, protects the institutional independence, and ultimately it serves the residents of Lynn Haven. And for context, this topic surfaced even before I raised it. It was actually you, Commissioner Tinder, who brought it up before me. It was during a charter discussion back in February 2021. She spoke in favor of the city clerk being a distinct role. And Commissioner Perno, you indicated you were comfortable with the city manager continuing to serve as the city clerk and supported removing the separate city clerk reference as a list of officers and departments in the charter. When I later brought this issue forward in December 2022, again, I brought it up on 4 separate occasions. Commissioner Perno, you were on the commission all 4 times I raised it. Commissioner Peebles, you were on the commission 3 of those 4 times. Commissioner Tinder, you were on the commission the first time I raised it in December 2022. And Mayor Lowry, this was before your time, so you weren't on the commission during any of those discussions. And ideally, this is a discussion or conversation I would have preferred to have a one-on-one. But as we all know, Florida Sunshine Law prevents that. And so I want to be clear. I'm not asking for an explanation tonight, and I'm not asking for a defense, and I'm not seeking a response this evening. What I'm asking for is reflection. And if anyone feels a need to provide an explanation at some other time, of course, that's certainly fine. But the purpose of my comments this evening, or that's not the purpose of my comments this evening. The purpose of my comments this evening is to strengthen how we lead going forward. This issue was raised multiple times, and during that time, the commission chose not to move forward with this structure. Now it appears the commission is prepared to support it. And that evolution matters, and understanding how and why these decisions are, how and why we arrive at these decisions matters as well. And each of us should take a moment to reflect on why this didn't advance previously and why is it acceptable now. Because that kind of reflection is necessary for accountability, leadership, and growth. You know, our actions and sometimes inactions can have real consequences. Not only do they affect city staff, but they shape how this institution functions. And they influence the expectations residents have of this body. Because a commission's willingness to exercise independent judgment or not doesn't just affect one decision, it helps define how this body governs as a whole. And when decisions like this aren't made in a timely manner, the reality is it can set the city back at least 3 to 4 years, even if that idea eventually comes back around and comes to fruition. And patterns matter. And one pattern I've observed is this. Look, disagreement is part of this job. Reasonable people can see issues differently. What concerns me is when an idea gains momentum or perceived backing, and decisions follow only once they feel safe. Once the risk has passed, the support is visible, and the outcome feels guaranteed. Leadership requires judgment before the crowd arrives. Leadership isn't about checking which way the wind blows before deciding to sail. Leadership is about setting the course because it's the right decision for the city. Waiting for certainty isn't leadership. It's permission seeking. And look, I'll be the first to acknowledge I'm not a perfect commissioner. I've had my fair share of getting things wrong up here, just like anyone else who's served up here. But what I haven't done is wait for momentum before taking a stand and being willing to accept some level of risk, because that's what leaders do. That's how leaders stay ahead of challenges and create opportunities for the city, rather than staying neutral and operating in what I call the safe zone. And just to be clear, when I refer to the safe zone, I'm talking about a political instinct to avoid risk and discomfort. It may protect the official, but it rarely protects the resident. And officials that habitually stay in the safe zone, they prioritize political survival over public service. And ultimately, you end up acting like politicians rather than leaders. That's how leaders how many times up here have we heard people, public officials on this dais say, I'm not a politician. We say it, but do we mean it? Leadership requires something different. Taking a clear position even when it's uncomfortable. And one of the reasons I'm raising this publicly is for those in our community who may have aspirations to serve in public office, so that they have a clear understanding of what leadership and independent judgment looks like once you're up here. It's not always easy. I also recognize that there are many capable people in our community that could serve in this role and do an outstanding job, and I hope more of them step forward in the future. But while we're here today, we have a responsibility to lead. Residents are depending on us to make difficult decisions even when they're not easy. And I'll be honest, I don't know whether this level of reflection will lead to change, and I hope it does. But I felt it was important to raise the question. If that reflection is genuine, I hope it guides how we approach decisions like this in the future. And I'll close with this. Steve Jobs, who most of us know was a co-founder of Apple, He took a company that was from near bankruptcy in the late 1990s to one of the most successful companies in the world. He used to tell his employees this: if you're just out to make everyone happy, don't be in a leadership position. Go out and sell ice cream. I don't take that as a call to be confrontational, but as a reminder that leadership requires making decisions that aren't easy, popular, or comfortable. So the way I see it is this issue is bigger than the city clerk position. It's about whether this commission is prepared to lead with independence and conviction, even when it's not easy. Because at some point, every elected official must decide who they are. Leaders lead, politicians sell ice cream. Do you choose leadership, or do you choose to sell ice cream? My hope is that you choose leadership.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion to accept.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I will open the floor to comments from our public. Ms. Parker, come on up.
Good evening, Commission.
Good evening.
Jamie, good job. I have to say, there are two major people that work here, higher up people, Chris Lightfoot, Jennifer Hodges. Both of them have two jobs. They should only have one apiece. What you just said, Jamie, was 100% correct. I admire what you said, and I thank you. And it should be done. City clerk position should be done, period. No ifs, ands, ors about it. It should happen. Look at what Vicki Gaynor did. Look at what Vicki Gaynor did. Look what Mayor Nelson did. Look at the crap we saw. I've lived here since 2002. I didn't come to a commission meeting, really, until after the hurricane. So thank you. You should do exactly what Jamie just said. Thank you.
Mr. Johnny Bashir.
I've got a couple things. First, on leadership. Leader acts on the available data, the best data that's available to them at the time to make their decisions. When that data changes, they have to be capable of changing their position and moving forward and leading. But you make your decisions based on the data that's available. And a leader doesn't go back to that data once it's there and admonish those that didn't act as he did or they did on the available data that was there at that time. To me, that's what leaders do. And that's all I really want to say on that. The two things that I do have questions about this, though, is one's not really a question, it's more of a statement, is that no matter how you slice and dice this, at the end of the day, this will result in more employee cost or more administration cost in the city than we currently have. That's acceptable, it's budgetable, you can do it. I have no issues with that. I just think that everybody needs to be aware. At the end of the day, this is going to cost more money, going to cost the city more money in employee expenses than we do right now. And that's neither here nor there as far as that's concerned. The second thing I wanted to mention was, Mayor, you had said that the whistleblower would be, I think, the city manager and the attorney and the city clerk. That's not what the ordinance says. The ordinance, as written, says this position shall be says a designated whistleblower complaint receipt. So possibly that's right. I just don't know where the other ones are stated at.
Point of order, city attorney. The city attorney and city manager are current whistleblowers authority, and this would be the city clerk would be the third whistleblower authority, correct?
Under your current policy, the city attorney and city manager are current whistleblower recipients. This codifies that responsibility for the city attorney and the city clerk. city attorney and the city manager in the charter, it adds that duty to the description of the city
Okay,
clerk.
so it gives it, so you have three.
It's in 26, section 26K, it adds
Okay.
it.
As long as when I read it, I'm like, that makes the city clerk the only position, and
So
I didn't
you were,
like that.
you were here, you were sitting over there, but the last meeting, the Charter Review Commission chairman, he actually briefed that and said this would make all three the whistleblowers.
I understand. I just, when I read the ordinance as it's written, this change, it just adds it. It doesn't say that there's two others. So when I read it as it was going to be the position. And if it's not, that's great. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bashir. All right. Any other questions or comments tonight? If not, I appreciate y'all being such a laid-back crowd tonight. We definitely want to give all the information we have to you. If you do have questions, please ask. But otherwise, if hearing no other questions or comments,
I got something.
okay.
I just want to say, Commissioner Warwick, in the future, if you want to know why I feel a certain way, just ask me. Like, I feel like you're implying that I'm not making a hard decision. A hard decision would have been voting a certain way when I didn't have 300 people the next day being the next meeting, being the mayor pro tem, come up and tell me how racist I am for 3 hours. Okay, I've made hard decisions. I take data and I change my mind based on that. In fact, you, in the last meeting, changed my mind on an ordinance because I took new data.
Yeah.
So I just request in the future, just talk with me, man.
We can't talk about this
We
one-on-one.
have a meeting right here. You can ask at any time in your commissioner's reports, at any time, at the workshops. Just talk to me. I want to be a teammate to you. I don't want this. This is, you said you
I
don't
don't
want to
want
be
it either.
confrontational. Let's talk about it.
I didn't
Okay? I want to
the-
be a teammate with you. I want to go forward. I want to do what's best for the city with you by my side. I feel like, I don't know, there's a miscommunication or something. I've gone to bat for you in the past. Like, I want to be your teammate. So I feel like, I don't know. I'm not even mad about it. I'm just kind of like sad about it. I feel like kind of hurts a little bit.
And I get that. This is not something I take any pleasure doing. In fact, I'll be honest, I lost sleep over this, about whether to do this or not. I really debated on it. But back to your point about data, I did a whole presentation and I did a lot of research on this. And I talked about one of them.
yeah.
I talked about research before you were on the commission of all the city clerks that I've talked with, and I had it broken down by all their functions and duties on the PowerPoint slide, and I explained the different percentage of where city clerks typically fall in different types of government.
Yeah, but the data you gave me is not the data what changed my mind, is what I'm saying. It's the data I got from Kiki. So that's kind of irrelevant to what I'm saying.
Well, thank you for that. For the good of the order,
But the whole purpose of me talking about this tonight is that if it requires us doing more research, then we need to go out and more research. Let me ask you this: how many of us went out and talked to other city clerks? Because I went and I talked to every city clerk in Bay County, and then of course many different city clerks across the state. Has anybody talked to other city clerks to say, "Hey, how do you do this? Is this a good idea?" You have. Okay. Have you talked to other city clerks?
One, but my decision was based on the data I just told you.
Right. And it's our responsibility. It's not a matter whether you agree or disagree with me. It's a matter of we need to go out, do our research. And if it means we need to go out and do our research, then do it. And if you want to provide, just like we talked about the change in the election, I have my feelings on it. Your feelings might be different on that. That's okay. I don't mind the disagreement part. It just seems like we're hesitant to make decisions. I feel that this decision was due to outside influences. That's the way I feel about it. And it's not just this. There are multiple other things that I feel like it was outside influences that influenced the commission's decision.
Outside influences. Well, I'll say on record, I don't have any outside influences on this. So
for the good of the order, we have an opportunity as a team here to do something that I think we are all in agreement is good for the city organizationally and functionally moving forward. That basically segregates a very consolidated and very powerful city manager position. We have a very good city manager who's very capable. He has flat out said he would love to have a city clerk colleague to be able to handle the issues of policy, finance, that type of thing, so he can focus on the people and the operations. This will be inherently good, just like I think the 7 questions for future non-ad valorem issues for future commissions. This is an inherently good thing for the organizational structure and function of our city. So if you teammates will go with me, we have a motion and a second. We've had public commentary. City manager, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
I'm just gonna stay out and vote no.
Mayor Lowry.
Yes.
He said
You said no? Okay, and I'm a yes. So the motion passes 4-1. All right. And number 10, final reading of ordinance 1189, proposing amendments to section 24 of the charter regarding residency of the city manager. City attorney.
Again, this one is unchanged from your first reading. If it's approved tonight, I'll bring back language to put on the ballot. If this is also moving forward at the election.
So before we discuss this at all, would you like to read the?
Yes, sir. Ordinance number 1189, an ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, proposing an amendment to Section 24, Article 3 of the city's charter regarding residency of the city manager, requiring the city manager to establish permanent residence in Bay County within 12 months of his appointment, providing that the proposed amendments shall be effective only upon the approval of referendum as specified in the ordinance.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I thought the original one was that he required residency in the city of Lynn Haven, not in Bay County.
That is correct, Commissioner Tender. The way that
So that got changed?
No, ma'am. The way the current charter it reads, it does require within 12 months, city attorney, that they must move to the
Doesn't give a time.
city of Lynn Haven?
Current charter says during his tenure, he shall live in the city.
Okay. So during his tenure, the city manager he or she shall live in the city. What the Charter Review Committee recommended to the commission was make it a member of Bay County. They have to reside in Bay County. Our current city commission, in fact, the 3 finalists that we hired from, none of the 3 lived in the confines or the boundaries of Lynn Haven. So
Right.
they would have to move in. Currently, our new city manager lives about 8.5 miles north of City Hall versus I
Okay.
live 6.5 miles southeast of here. So almost the same distance, just different direction outside of the boundaries. So,
Okay, it was confusing for me because there are like 3 words in there that have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know if we changed them in the last meeting or what.
no, ma'am, this is.
I mean, personally, go ahead.
No, ma'am. This is what the Charter Review Committee briefed us, Corey Langford, the chairman,
Okay.
where they were recommending just Bay County.
Wow. Okay.
So there are
Okay.
pros and cons, but that was what the Charter Review Committee proposed and put forward to us. We had the first reading last meeting and are set to have the second reading tonight. So is there?
Okay. So basically, we're voting on number 10 as the final reading, and this will determine whether he lives in Bay County or not. Is that correct?
Partially. So what this means is it would be the city commission approving referendum language to go forward to ask voters for an up or down vote on August 18th if they will approve or deny this proposal. So this puts it
Okay.
before the voters, but it can't
Puts
get
it before the voters. Okay,
Right.
for Bay County.
it can't go before the voters on the referendum if we don't give it the thumbs up here in the commission.
Oh. Okay.
Any other questions or discussion amongst the commission for this?
I make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Before we vote, is there any questions or discussion among the public? Mr. Bashir, come on up.
I'll try to be real quick. If you're going to do this, I would think it might be better, and it may be late in the game to make this kind of a change, but to give the commission the discretion to waive the residency requirements for prospective city managers, meaning it would give you all the discretion to say, okay, since you don't, I'll use Mr. Lightfoot's residency as an example. You live pretty close, so I think it's reasonable to waive the requirement to live in the city. But you may want somebody that's coming in, if they're moving from Texas and they're moving in here, you're going to want them to move to Lynn Haven. You're not going to want them to move to Callaway. So you may want to say at the commission's discretion, you're able to waive the residency requirement of Lynn Haven or modify the requirement. That's just a thought process that I'm having as you look at this. Just my thought.
Thank you, Johnny. That is interesting. Come on up, Mr. Finch. Good evening.
James Finch, 410 East 2nd Street. I believe, Chris, you live, closest city you live to is Lynn Haven, right?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, it's not like he's living in Callaway or the beach or, whatever.
Right.
And what if a man's got a house at a 2% loan, and then you make him move and it's 8%? You going to compensate for that? Or, I mean, that'd be pretty bad on him. But he lives the closest to Lynn Haven, whatever, of any city. It's not like he's living in Callaway or the beach or whatever. And I think maybe, the city could exempt it or approve it or, put it in the charter and let people vote on it. But it needs to be done. But I wouldn't want to lose the city manager because he's got to go and get a different loan, and the loan would be a tremendous amount. So you'd have to take that in consideration.
Yes, sir.
And if he's not doing a good job, run him off, But other than,
Thank you, Mr. Finch.
I don't see any of the charter committee members here, so I will speak on their behalf. They did consider giving the commission the discretion to decide whether to waive the requirement or to allow him to live within proximity to city limits. And they ultimately decided not to do that to create predictability for potential candidates the next time you find yourself needing to bring a city manager to town from somewhere else.
Thank you for that, City Attorney. The one thing when I talked to Chairman Langford and I asked what was their kind of thoughts behind this, he said, I believe it was 22 or 24 miles from City Hall here. You can go in any direction and you're basically hitting the Bay County line. Now, if you're down on the other end of Panama City Beach and it's Thunder Bike Week, you might take 2 or 3 hours to get over here. But in general, you're looking at no greater than 22, 24 miles away. And I specifically mentioned, I live 6.5 miles from here. He lives 8.5 miles from here, just in a different direction, right? I live in the city limits, as does all the commissioners and the mayor. That is the manager, the police chief, other key staff. There is no residency requirement for them as there are for us elected officials. So that's the only thing that I remember from Chairman Langford was they kind of went back and forth, and instead of a proximity or trying to come up with a number, well, is 10 miles radius or 15 miles radius fair? They just decided if you said Bay County, that basically gives you 22 to 24 miles in any direction, and they're a Bay County resident. Period. End of story. Is that a fair assessment or summary?
They had that discussion too. Yes.
Okay. Is that an accurate depiction?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right. So any other discussion amongst the commission? If not, we've got a motion and a second. City Manager, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry.
Yes. So the ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you for that. All right. We are down to new business now, number 11. The formal appointment of my friend Commissioner Pat Perno as the new mayor pro tem per rotation, established in Resolution 2021-08-365. City Attorney.
I apologize.
Sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I think all you need to do is make a motion. I don't know that there's,
So I actually have two things I want to do here tonight, but the first part, let's go ahead and wrap this up as properly agended. May I have a motion to appoint Commissioner Perno as the new mayor pro tem per the standard one-year rotation amongst the commission?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. I have a motion in 2 seconds. And for the public, what we have here is the mayor pro tem is effectively the deputy mayor. And so if the mayor is out of pocket, sick, ill, resigns, the mayor pro tem is the acting mayor, the interim mayor. This has happened very recently, but it's 4 commissioners and it's a 4-year term. So during each elected commissioner's 4-year term, they will serve as the mayor pro tem or deputy mayor for one of those 4 years. And this is the normal annual rotation. So that's what that is. I have a motion in 2 seconds. So if there is no discussion or questions, I will ask the city manager to call the roll.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry.
Yes. I know you didn't vote no for yourself, Pat. I almost thought you did there. You were so soft. Well, thank you and congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem Pat Perno. One other thing I am going to kind of inject here, and this is a surprise to everyone except the city manager. I want to recognize our newly relieved Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Sam Peebles. He is a very humble guy, very soft-spoken guy, but incredibly thoughtful guy. And during his past year as the Mayor Pro Tem, I think he has done more as the interim or the acting mayor. Not only was he the mayor for about 2 weeks after the former mayor resigned, but while for 4 to 6 months prior to the former mayor's resignation, he was out a lot with a sick father and some other things. And so Commissioner Peebles ended up running a whole lot of meetings. Some of those were 3 and 4 hours long. They were marathons. So you handled the double duty, Commissioner Peebles, with grace, and you kept the city steadfast and churning and chugging right down the railroad tracks. So I want to thank you sincerely for that. And as part of that, I secured a 3D printed of the newly approved seal. And give me just a moment and I'll do an official presentation here for you. But I found a couple here that does 3D printing on the North Shore community right here in Lynn Haven. And I asked them to print this seal for us. So you are the first one to get this. And it says Mayor Pro Tem Sam Peebles. And there's actually a little stand for it as well. You can display it. You can hang it on your wall, whatever you may like. But I wrote on the back of it with today's date. And it says, Sam, please accept my sincere thanks for your steadfast and humble leadership during a very challenging time in our beloved city's history. It is a pleasure to serve alongside of you on the Lynn Haven City Commission. Very respectfully, Dave Lowry, 33rd Mayor of Lynn Haven. So, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. My privilege. All right. With that,
Mayor, if I may.
yes, sir.
Sam, I just hope that I don't have to endure what you did this year. Just going to say that. And thank you for your grace and your honor.
Thank you, sir. All right. Number 12 on the agenda. First reading only of Ordinance 1187, Finch Small Scale Future Land Use Map Amendment. Director of Planning and Development.
Mayor, let me read the ordinance real quick.
Yes, sir.
Ordinance 1187, an ordinance providing for the adoption pursuant to Chapter 163, Florida statutes, of a land use change from mobile home park to mixed use for an approximate 3.402 plus or minus acres of property located at 201 West 14th Street, parcel number 10223-000-000 in the city of Lynn Haven, Bay County, Florida, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith and providing an effective date.
The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I am met a couple of you, but I am Gina Grand Prix, the new Planning and Development Director. I believe I have a presentation. I like to do a presentation for Planning Commission and City Commission on all development applications. So that is what I will be doing tonight. I believe that the applicant is, I know the applicant, Mr. Finch, is here for you to ask questions following this. So, okay. There we go. As City Manager Lightfoot read the ordinance, this application was presented to us to change the future land use map it's a small scale future land use map from mobile home park to mixed use. As part of staff's review, the application was evaluated under the city's ULDC requirements for future land use map amendments. That review includes the existing designation, the proposed designation, the applicant's justification, potential impacts, and consistency with the comprehensive plan. The property is approximately 3.2 acres and is currently vacant. Although it has been approved for a mobile home development under the existing designation, the applicant is requesting mixed use, which allows the property to be considered for a broader range of uses, including residential, commercial, and public or institutional uses. As you can see, as you can see by the aerial view, the property is located within the established part of the city, in near existing streets and surrounding development. The proposed map would change from the mixed use designation. Staff reviewed the surrounding areas. As you can see, that it fits within that existing pattern. So on the north is commercial, south is high density residential, and on to the east and west is the mixed use. The Planning Commission reviewed this request at its regular meeting at the 5th of May. There was no public comment after the discussion. The Planning Commission voted unanimously 7-0 to forward a positive recommendation to the City Commission. Based on staff's review, the request meets the applicable review considerations for a future land use map amendment. Staff finds the proposed amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the ULDC, and that mixed use is appropriate in this location based on the surrounding future land use pattern. Any future development will still be required to meet all applicable city code requirements. Tonight's first request is for the first reading only. Staff recommends the City Commission conduct the reading of the ordinance as the city manager did for the Finch small scale future land use map amendment, and provide any discussion or direction as needed. And the applicant, Mr. Finch, is available for any questions. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. Again, the applicant is here to answer any questions as well.
Welcome aboard.
What was that?
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'm excited. It's been a whirlwind of a couple weeks. So.
We're glad to have you, and you have very impressive credentials.
Yes.
Thank you. I worked hard for that.
You are clearly going to be a force multiplier for our city team.
I hope so. I look forward to working with you. So
you said we had a unanimous 7-0 recommendation from the Planning Committee, excuse me. What are your thoughts?
it meets the code. That's what this is for. We do evaluate it according to the comprehensive plan, and according to that, it allows for uses to be changed in accordance to what's surrounding it. And with mixed use on the east and the west, and commercial and high density on the north and south, it would warrant
we would recommend that you do that. It's consistent with the comprehensive plan. As planners, we want to stay close to that comprehensive plan, and this is a quasi-judicial decision, and therefore it goes through the public hearing process. So really, we can make a recommendation based off of the code, based off of the comprehensive plan, but it is ultimately your decision. It is a legislative decision. So regardless of what the applicant has to put down there, what they propose, it really comes down to those, we have it outlined in the ULDC, what uses are allowed in mixed use. Therefore, you have to consider all of those uses could potentially go in there, regardless of what the applicant may have come forward. He could sell it tomorrow, and it could change completely from what he had presented. So just keep that in mind in making your decision that mixed use has a number of things that can be potentially put there.
Yeah, I watched the planning board meeting, so I don't really have any questions, and I appreciate everything you're doing. So you seem very thorough.
That's what I aim to be. I want you to have the best knowledge to make informed decisions, and so that it provides clarity. There's no questions.
Thanks.
I actually have a question for Mr. Finch, if that's okay. I don't know if you know this or not, but literally every single time I post on Facebook, hey, we got this new business coming or whatever, literally every single time someone's like, I wonder what's going on this property over here. So I love that it's changing to mixed use because everyone wants something to go there. So I'm excited about that. I know that it has nothing to do with our decision tonight, but people keep asking what is going to go there. Do you have any idea what kind of interest has been for that lot?
Come on up, Mr. Finch.
You're going to build a two-story bank on the corner of Florida and Walgreens. And then Culver's looking at the other corner on New York. And then when you put the stormwater stuff in there, you don't have much left. As I travel around everywhere, I hunt these ponds that everybody has around here. They take half your property and put a pond there. I go to Atlanta, I go to all these other states, walk downtown, I can't find a pond nowhere. Miami, I can't find a pond. Can't find but around here, there's ponds everywhere. So we did mixed use, so in the back, if you put 6 or 8 apartments in the back there, it's adjacent to the apartment complex that's there on the south end and all that. But it's a community bank will be going on the corner. Culver's looking at the restaurants, looking at the other side, but they've not went to a contract. They're trying to get it approved through a franchisee or whatever. But right now it's a community bank.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sir. Any other questions or discussion amongst the commission tonight? Commissioner Tender, do you have anything, ma'am?
No, I'll make a motion to approve.
It's the first reading.
Oh, darn.
Tell you what, we'll hold that thought, Commissioner, and we'll let you be the motioner at our next meeting. How's that?
That works for me. Give me a check on that one.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Well, thank you for that. I guess any other discussions? If not, we'll move forward. All right. Discussion and possible approval of Resolution 2026-05-553, approving the purchase of a new fire truck.
Resolution number 2026-05-553, a resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, approving an agreement with Stingray Chevrolet LLC for the purchase of a 2026 Chevy Silverado 2500 HD Crew Cab in the amount of $134,561.37. And this is a rescue truck that we budgeted and planned to purchase this fiscal year. The chief has worked with several different dealers to get the best price possible. This one is sitting there on the lot, will be built out if you all approve tonight.
Fire Chief, do you have anything you'd like to add, sir? Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission. Just to add to that rescue truck, this is part of the fire department's goal to stay ahead of growth. This truck is being specifically built to run BLS EMS calls, but we're also building it to be a high water vehicle for any kind of storm, high water, flooding, or anything like that. So it's going to be a dual truck to do all different kinds of things.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but this would also take some of the pressure off for you having to use your $1 million+ trucks. This
Yes,
would
sir.
save wear and tear.
The plan for this truck is it's going to take several months to get built. So we're looking at the end of summer before it comes in. The plan is to put it at Station 2 and then come back to commission and during budgeting to add 3 personnel to that to make that Station 2 fully staffed. Because right now we only have 3 people at that station. 1 would come off the engine. We'd hire 3 for each shift. Then we'd have an engine and a rescue, and it would take the pressure off that $1 million truck running all the EMS calls in the southeast side of the city. I did my analysis this week. Station 2 at Mosley is almost catching Station 1 here in the middle of the city as far as call volume. They're almost equal. So as it were, it used to be Station 2, there was nothing going on. You run 3 or 4 calls. They're competing with Station 1. So the city is getting very, very busy at this time. We really need to stay ahead of growth, and we need to really look at the future on how we do that financially, physically, and with personnel.
Chief, thanks for your leadership here on this and staying point to ground and ensuring we try to grow with the growth and be responsive and proactive versus reactive.
Yes, sir. That truck that hopefully if you approve was about a 4-month research trying to get the best price to come up with our budget that we had budgeted. We were actually came in a little bit under, so it's a really good thing for us. We just got to stay ahead of growth.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes,
Any
sir.
questions for the Chief?
No, motion to approve.
Got a motion? Do I have a
Second.
second?
Second.
Got 2 seconds. That's a good thing. All right. Any public discussion tonight or any public questions regarding this? Hearing none. City Manager, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry.
Yes. Thank y'all for that. The ayes have it. All right, on to 14, discussion and possible approval of Resolution 2026-05-554, amending the fee schedule to include fees for the Hometown Heroes banners.
A resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending Chapter 42 of the fee schedule and Appendix A of the Lynn Haven Code of Ordinances and providing for an effective date.
Good evening.
Good evening. So we come back for a change in the fee schedule. The Hometown Hero banners fees have not been in the fee schedule prior to this, and my understanding is they're getting ready to hang them again for Memorial Day. So the decision was made to try and add this.
And what is the new fee schedule for this?
So for a new banner, year 1 would be $100. And then for the rehanging each year would be $50 for year 2 and year 3. And then the banners are retired after 3 years. Get back on the list.
And Mayor, this is for research. This is about the standard pricing throughout the country for this program. It's become a pretty popular program, and the fees mirror just about everywhere.
I see this with Panama City too, down on Harrison Avenue a lot. It's definitely a hometown pride, patriotic kind of thing. I think it's great. And just to clarify, the banners, they typically have about a 3-year life expectancy in the heat and the sun, right?
Yes, sir. And then we had discussed staff as well to change the design after 3 years as well. So you're keeping something that looks a little newer instead of using the same thing over and over.
Gotcha. Okay. Any questions among the commission? No.
Mayor, I will add that we did bring a fee schedule update last meeting, and then we're bringing you this one as we work through things. We will likely have several more items that have to be added to the fee schedule just to make sure we're accounting for everything. And Ms. Marsh is also working on updating the fee schedule in an Excel sheet, so it's a little easier to read than the current Word document.
Would it be too complicated if someone said, hey, I just want to pay for the all 3 years and pay $200 and be done with it.
We wouldn't collect it every year.
So that would make it too complicated.
I would think from an accounting purpose that Ms. Roman would frown upon collecting it at one time and keeping a record of who's doing that.
So could we do that, or it would be too complicated? Okay. Okay.
That's great, Miss Roman. So it's kind of like old Harry Truman. He had the little nameplate that said the buck stops here. We need to get you one that says we'll take your money. That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you for that. Any other questions? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
A motion to approve.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll open the floor for questions about this. Any thoughts, questions, discussion? Hearing none, thank you. City Manager, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Mayor Lowry?
Yes. You did right, Judy. All right, we're on to 15 now. Discussion and possible approval of Resolution 2026-05-555, accepting the Clean Water State Revolving Fund Construction Loan Agreement with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. City Manager.
Resolution 2026-05-555, a resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, relating to the State Revolving Fund Loan Program, making findings, authorizing execution of a Clean Water State Revolving Fund Construction Loan Agreement, WW030250, with the State of Florida Department of Environmental Protection in the amount of $13,289,215, authorizing the loan agreement, establishing pledged revenues, designating authorized representatives, providing assurances, providing for conflicts, severability, and an effective date. Mayor, back in December, I believe it was, the commission approved the resolution to submit the loan agreement for the SRF loan for the influent pump station and the headworks at the wastewater treatment plant, as we are required to do for a capacity expansion, as well as the consent order that the city was given for the wastewater treatment plant. We did receive approval back on the SRF loan after several submittals of different things the department requested. This resolution will accept the loan agreement. We are not bidding the project out yet. We still have some things to work on before we do, but it will allow staff to accept the loan and then to come back to the commission when the time is right for the rate study findings to make a decision to go to either Bay County or to build this, and then to make a decision. The first loan payment is not due until 2028.
I would like to add one comment. Your resolution identifies three existing loans that will be senior debt. They will be paid ahead of this loan. I have reached out to the state because the contract itself doesn't expressly address at least one of those contracts. And I wanted to get clarification on that. So there may be a slight delay in asking for your signature on this until I get that issue cleaned up.
Ms. Kiki, do you have anything you want to add here, ma'am? Either way. Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, I will note in there, it's in your packet, but just for the public, the loan rate on this is 2.45%. It's for a period of 20 years. The debt service payment is $439,751 semi-annually. And like I said, that first payment would be due October 15th, 2028.
What was the total amount again?
$13,574,615.
Any questions, commissioners?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion? Can I get a
Second.
Thank you, sir. Got a motion and a second. Come on up, Mr. Bashir.
Sorry, will this 13 million be borrowed immediately on when y'all pass this, or does it wait until you actually get your bids back and start projects?
Yes, sir. We do not get any of this, or we do not borrow the money until we execute this and put the project out for bid and begin construction.
I just wanted to get
Yes, sir.
clarification on that. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you for that. All right, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, City Manager, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry.
Yes, the ayes have it. Thank you. All right, 16, discussion and possible approval of Resolution 2026-05-556, awarding the service agreement for cemetery lawn care services to Grow Pro LLC. City Manager.
Resolution 2026-05-556, a resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, approving a 4-year agreement with Grow Pro LLC relating to the provision of lawn care at Mount Hope and Lynn Haven cemeteries in an annual amount not to exceed $49,939.50. Mayor, we put this project out to bid. A total of 6 bids were received, with Grow Pro being the apparent low bidder. This will save us approximately $6,000 to $8,000 a year as they underbid the current provider.
Okay. Any questions among the commission?
No. Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions among the public tonight on this? All right, hearing none, would the City Manager call the roll?
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yeah, yes.
Mayor Lowry.
Yes. Ayes have it. Thank you for that. 17, discussion and possible approval of Resolution 2026-05/557, awarding the contract for bulk aluminum sulfate to Univar Solutions. City Manager.
Resolution 2026-05-557, a resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, approving an agreement with Univar Solutions relating to the provision of bulk aluminum sulfate in an amount not to exceed $55,000. And Mayor, this is a chemical used at our wastewater treatment plant. It was time to bid the supply out. We did receive 3 bids, as well as some no bid notifications. Univar is the apparent low bidder at $1.242 per gallon. And this will save us just a few $1,000s annually, not a substantial amount, but it gives us a contract to go off of.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions among the commission?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I got a motion and a second and no questions. I'll open it to the public. Any questions tonight on this? Hearing none, City Manager.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry.
Yes, thank y'all for that. The ayes have it. 18, discussion and possible approval of moving forward with bidding out James Roger Park improvements. City Manager.
Yes, sir. This project was part of the Hurricane Michael rebuild. We did design the project back in August. You all approved a final design. We finished up the plans. The cost opinion is just under $1.1 million. That money is in fiscal year 26 budget. However, it is part of the disaster recovery budget that is in the negative. So the general fund will be affected by doing this project. We do get a lot of questions from the public on when this project will be built. So instead of just bidding it out, we wanted to bring it to the commission and ask direction on moving forward or placing the project on hold indefinitely. As I said, the money is in fiscal year 2026 budget, but it will be coming out of the general fund because the disaster recovery, as we all know, we've expensed all the funds from that. And on page 152 of your packet, that is the cost opinion that has been broken down by each item. So the commission can take a couple different actions tonight. 1, approve the project to go out to bid as the plans were finalized back in August. 2, put the project on hold. Or 3, you can say we want to bid out the stormwater pond and a playground, or the stormwater pond and a basketball court. Or we can bid the entire project out, and once we bring it to the commission for award, you all can decide what to award, if any, at that time. The way we've seen some prices, it could come in at $700,000 or it could come in at $2 million. Prices have been coming down slowly on projects, so there is a chance it comes in below the cost opinion, but we will not know until we bid it out.
So commissioners, let's kind of have a frank discussion here. So there was 1.1 million in FY26. And Ms. Roman, refresh my memory, please. How much did FEMA come back and what was the word you used? Deobligated or unobligated?
How's that? Oh,
Good.
much better. FEMA unobligated $3 million, not specifically for this parks project. That was just overall throughout all the projects. However, that is not the end of the unobligation, in my opinion. I believe that there's more money coming. As city manager informed you, we did budget $1.1 million for this park in the disaster recovery fund. However, there are no FEMA funds available currently. So whatever you decide to do with that park will ultimately be paid for out of the general fund.
Thank you for that. All right, so fellow commissioners, this is kind of the open discussion time frame, you know. Let's talk about what your initial first blush thoughts are and what y'all are thinking on right now and what you recommend we do moving forward from here.
What do we have in the general fund? It's about 15 million.
Thereabouts.
51, I thought.
15.
You're asking for the cash number in the general fund? Is that what the question was? One moment, please. I'll get it for you.
You mean the reserves, not the cash?
Okay,
amount,
yeah.
Oh,
right?
the reserve,
Yeah.
the reserve number or the
Well, this is what
savings
I'm
account?
concerned with.
15,000,009, I believe.
Is we have a payment every year for the disaster recovery bond. What are we up to? About 22 million?
The balance on the
Disaster
debt
recovery
service, 21 million and change.
21 million and change.
The annual debt service is 2.7 million for the disaster
Right.
recovery bond.
So let's just say we don't get any more money from FEMA, right? And we got to pay 2.7 million a year.
Correct, until
So you're
33.
talking that money will be dried up in about 7 years.
Until 33. The,
So what?
the bond terminates in 2033.
So 6 years. Okay. That's kind of what I'm pitching with everything is that and this, because I think we're all under the impression that we were going to get funding for this from FEMA to pay for this, and now we're not, and it's just, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna be
There is
honest with you.
very little more money coming in from FEMA. Very little.
This is a very popular and desired thing, but if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. I mean, at the end of the day, we've got to be fiscal responsible stewards of the taxpayer dollars. So, but I don't know if there's a mix to be had in that or a yeah, but, or a different option or alternative funding, but go ahead. I saw you.
I guess this is what's going through my mind right now is I'm thinking the top priority needs to be stormwater, because that location is horrible for stormwater. I don't know if you've ever seen it when it rains, but it floods badly.
It has $200,000 in the line item on stormwater.
Right. Would you agree
What
with that?
exactly is that? And there's a ditch at the very back there.
So that $200,000 in the cost opinion is to construct the stormwater facilities for the park. Will that help with the flooding in that area? A little bit, yes. Will it solve all the flooding issues? No. I think there's still one house there that has flooded in the past. That house has not flooded since 2019.
Talking about that one on the corner there?
Yes, sir.
So it's gotten better. I know when they did 390 and they redid the ditches,
That's
it got
correct.
better. But I don't know.
I'm not going to sit up here and say that constructing that pond will solve all stormwater issues in that area and the house will never flood again, because that is not accurate. It will help, but it is not guaranteed that the flooding will be resolved because of that $200,000 pond being built.
Understood.
On the site map in the package, there's a large empty lot behind this park. Is that the land that belongs to Royal American that's going to be expanded from the reserve at North Shore? Is that
the land you're talking about? I don't think there's anything being built as part of the apartment complex that they're building.
I mean,
currently.
is it owned by Royal American?
It is owned by Royal American, yes, sir.
Okay. I know. I mean, is that part of their expansion though? I mean, you know, the road that comes out at Jenks there, just past Bradley Circle.
Yes, or that road that's freshly tied into Jinx is the new driveway into the apartment.
The new
complex.
driveway for their additional apartment.
Yes, sir.
And assisted living that they're going to have. Is that going to branch all the way back there? I mean, is that land going to get built out? Is what I'm saying.
It doesn't, if I remember right on the plans, it does not go all the way to the ditch there. I think there's some wetlands and some woods that stays there.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll be able to see the neighborhood, the Bel Air neighborhood from that apartment complex.
Either way, it's not going to be a popular decision.
Is there any way of funding it another way with the stormwater a different way on this project as a stormwater project on its own? It won't be, I know it'll still be general, it will still have to be funded, right?
It would be very hard to justify using stormwater department money to build a stormwater pond for a park.
I agree completely.
Not so much as it would be for a park as it would be for the stormwater in the area.
Yeah, but
it would end up being for the
that
park.
would be a stretch. And at almost every meeting, the last 6 meetings, we've talked about the stormwater non-ad valorem and how we shouldn't have one. We most definitely don't have $200,000 in the stormwater department to construct the pond for that.
But if we did piecework and did budget and bid out the $200,000 stormwater, it would help the park and it would help the houses.
Yes, sir. So you could vote tonight to bid the project out as it sits in these plans. Once the bids come back, we will bring it to the commission to award, and you all can decide which part of those bids to award at that time. You can award just the pond. You could award the pond and the basketball court, the pond and the playground.
So that way we could give something, but not,
If the bids come back with prices for each, you can value engineer it out and decide what you all want to award at that time.
So we can de-scope it once the bids come back.
Yes, sir.
How much have we spent on designing of this?
I think we've spent around $60,000, Bobby, on the design.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the just from a dollars and cents point of view, wouldn't it be better it's not going to be popular, but would it not be better to table this?
I would ask not to table it. I would ask you all to make a decision tonight because staff is being inundated with calls on what is happening with this park, and it would be good to tell people what is happening.
I'd like to make a motion that we'd go ahead and bid it, and then when it comes back, we have this tough conversation about what we put on the job versus anything at all. That way, at least we're making the effort till the end with the people that are asking for it. So
we'll have an opportunity to say, nix the whole thing, do the whole thing, or do parts of it.
Yes, sir. When we bid it out and the bids come back, you all can reject all bids and say we're not doing the project, or you can award.
And we'll face it together with the residents and find out what's the most important thing to them. If they wanted one thing, you know what I mean, or two things, what can we do? So
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any public discussion or questions tonight? Connie, I see you chomping at the bit. Come on up.
Mayor?
Ma'am.
I'm sorry. I'm coming in the ball game here.
No worries.
This whole thing here, can Kiki tell me, was any of the $12,101 we gave to Panhandle Engineering for figuring this up? What was that for?
You mean are you referring to the checklist, Commissioner Tender?
Yeah, I'm returning to it. Yeah, I am.
They have not had an invoice for this park in a while.
The 12,100, excuse me,
Go ahead.
the $12,101 are for ADA design and the rails to trails water loop.
Did you hear that, Commissioner Tender?
It had
It was for
nothing to,
ADH. Okay. All right, thank you.
certainly.
So what is it we're voting on?
Right now, Mr. Bashir's is up for public comment, then
Oh.
I'll tell you the motion.
Okay. All right.
So everybody loves parks. We all know that. We all know that it would be great to put a park there. This is one of those leadership chances that you got a decision to make. It's not going to be popular. The money's just not there to do this park right now. You can bid it out, but you're going to utilize the city's time to put those bids together and send them out with no clear understanding of when you get them, how much money you've got to spend. If you decide tonight to spend $200,000, send it out for the stormwater pond. But if you just send it out for bid, you're taking up your contractors' time. So people that are going to bid on this, bid in good faith that they've got a good chance to get that award and get that money. And if that's not the case, you need to do something different. Me, if I was a contractor, I would not want to spend my time and effort going through the motions to fill out forms and bids and do the actual numbers and put all that together to give you if there wasn't a good chance that it was going to go through. I think you're going to end up using the city's time and your prospective contractor's time when I really don't think this project's going to be approved. You need to decide, do you want to approve this project or do you not want to approve this project? Spend the money or not spend the money?
It's a fair point, Mr. Bashir. Thank you for that.
I just asked Mr. Lightfoot how much time it would take, but since a lot of it's already been done.
So this bid is ready to go, Mayor. It can
It
be
wouldn't take
advertised.
that much time then.
Right.
And people have their cost in line. I mean, you put it out, they answer. I mean, contractors.
So it would be advertised for 30 days, but I feel that we would get numerous bids on this project.
But it comes back to we don't have the dollars in the piggy bank to cover it. Now, we might be able to a la carte a little bit if we're talking about just improving stormwater drainage on the park. Okay, fine. But I mean, we're basically sitting at a kitchen table. We have just enough money to pay our bills, and we're talking about a trip to Vegas here. We just don't have it. So I know that's a metaphor, but we don't have it in the piggy bank right now.
Mayor, if I may, we're talking about the residents of Bel Air
Right.
that had their park kind of taken away from them and was supposed to be built back, like the promise that was made for people for after the hurricane.
Yes, sir.
And I think we owe it to them to at least go to the 11th hour with them with the issue at hand with the city is, hey, we're going to bid it. We got the work here, but we don't have the money. But what's the most important thing to you? If we could do one or two things this year, we could keep it in the ropes. Once you bid it and start with somebody, they'll value engineer with you. If I'm not mistaken, the contractor say, okay, you got this much money this year. He still has the job the next year. We'll put a little more money at it, do something else. And things change along the way. But I mean, I know what you're talking about, what you're saying, but when you get down to the people that live in those houses and what they want for their neighborhood, I think that's my point of view. So
Thank you for that, Commissioner Perno, because
Thanks.
I didn't, hang on just a second. I didn't have that background in the park with the residents there, so I didn't know that. So thank you.
We did have several neighborhood meetings out there throughout the design of this project and heard feedback from the residents. And Commissioner Tender, the motion is to move forward with bidding the project out and then making a decision once the bids come back. There was a motion by Commissioner Perno and a second by Commissioner Warwick.
Okay, thank you.
So, if the
Thank
bid-
you.
So when the bids come back, we don't have to accept any of them, or we can accept all of them, or we can accept like pieces of it. So it doesn't,
Lock us into one.
Okay. Mr. Bashir, thank you for your feedback. Any other questions before we move to a vote here? Hearing none. City Manager, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Perno,
yes.
Commissioner Warwick,
yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry.
No. All right. So 4-0, or 4-1, excuse me. 19, discussion only on the city park hours. City manager.
Yes, sir. We've had, I'm sure you all have received several complaints in the past few weeks about some homeless issue down at Porter Park. We think we have that remedied, but that brought some issues up. Also, in some conversations with the police department, our ordinance is very vague on park hours. So before we brought you an ordinance change, just want to have a general discussion to consider putting park hours on each park, whether it was dawn to dusk, 30 minutes before sunset, 30 minutes after, or 30 minutes before sunrise, 30 minutes after sunset at every park, aside from the sports park in Cane Griffin, which we would ask to be open until 10 p.m. because there's basketball courts, pickleball courts, et cetera, that's used there late at night. And also in the ordinance, we would likely discuss putting restrictions on pets on the picnic tables under the pavilions at parks. We've had some issues where some of the folks that were gathered down there just let their dog, they tied the dog to the picnic table, let the dog lay on top of it. And then when they left, they came in for a kid's birthday party. Not very sanitary. So we asked to kind of restrict that. Just wanted to hear some feedback. I know Commissioner Peebles, I talked with him about some issues he had received on the Porter Park issue. Commissioner Ward had got the same calls or same messages. So just kind of wanted to hear some feedback from you all before we bring an ordinance revision to you.
Yeah, I think it's very important to figure out these hours just to make the police job easier. Because I talked with chief and deputy chief about it, and they both kind of said the same thing. Is like, well, I mean, we have an ordinance, but there's really nothing to enforce.
Oh.
So, but I think the one thing that I think it was Deputy Chief Ingfinger had a really good point suggestion is, we might want to have a caveat in Porter Park if we go with, let's say, hypothetically, we go with 30 minutes after sundown. Maybe we say besides the bridge
and the boat ramp.
Yeah, because there's many people that go before the sun comes up, people go out on their boat. After the sun goes down, people walk the bridge. There's quite a few people that walk the bridge after the sun goes down because that's the perfect time to get some exercise in. So I think that's an important caveat to add, but I'm definitely a proponent of the hours because our ordinance talks about not to be at a park after it closes, but there's no official closing time. So how can you enforce that?
I was meant to read that too. So section 42-13, subsection B of the ordinance states, no person shall be admitted or allowed to remain in any city park after the designated closing hour except for the purpose of camping where designated or as approved by the Department of Leisure Services. First off, I don't think we have any park we allow camping. Second off, the closing hour is not mentioned anywhere in the ordinance. So we just want to specify the hours for each park.
Would it be?
Mayor?
Go ahead.
On this subject, what does it accommodate for the people who go down there and fish all night off the bridge?
Yes, ma'am. That's what Commissioner Peebles was referring to as the bridge for fishing and the boat ramp would be excluded from those park hours, like at Porter Park.
Okay.
That would be specifically for like the pavilions and the playgrounds and the bathrooms there for the people that are using those.
Okay, thank you.
So what's your recommendation? Half hour before sunset, half hour after sunrise, and with the exception of what Commissioner Peebles brought up?
For Porter, yes, sir. And then for the sports park and for Cane Griffin, we would do from, I believe it's 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. or 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., whatever Justin and Ty would recommend for the opening, but 10 p.m. would be the closing. Kensaw, talked to Justin last night, would be about 9:30. That allows for the practices to end and for people to get out of the park, except for fishing there at Kensaw as well.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Yeah, as long as, I trust the staff's recommendation on hours more than my own. But yeah, we definitely need the hours though.
So if Commission's good with that, we will.
Go ahead, Commissioner Tender.
Hey, I want to ask this. Is this going to put an extra heavy burden on the police department to enforce this? Or who's going to go down there and drive around every night?
So with the conversation with the police department, this will actually make their job a little easier because they will actually have some teeth to utilize to get people out of the park if they need to, that are there after hours.
Okay.
Currently, they can't make them leave because it says after closing hour, but there is no closing hour.
Okay, thank you.
Like Commissioner Peebles, I'm good with this. If you want to draft it up, we can formally review it and bless it at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Commissioner Perno, you got anything to add, sir? You're good? I should say, Mayor Pro Tem. All right, so that's 19 done. There was no vote needed for that. Number 20, discussion and possible approval of moving forward with bidding out the construction of M0044 Florida and Ohio Avenue Corridor Improvement Project. City Manager.
Yes, sir. So this is similar to the James Rogers Park, except this project is grant funded. However, the cost opinion, once we got the plans 100% complete, is significantly higher than the grant. But we didn't want to bid the project out and then bring it to you all and have to put some CRA funding with it, and you all reject the bid. So we wanted to discuss it before. We are recommending bid the project out and likely award Florida Avenue from 7th to 9th Street with the downtown improvements. That would likely use every bit of the grant funding as well as some CRA funds that would have to go with it. One, the downtown project, like the City of Panama City did, it is a significant construction undertaking. It would be very similar to ours, except we're not digging up the entire road. We're going over top of the existing, so it would not be as significant of a construction impact, though it would be a pretty significant time.
So what kind of above and beyond financial impact are we looking at here?
So if you go to page 179 of your packet, there's a cost opinion broke down by the different phases. Phase 1A, the cost opinion with the 10% contingency is around $5.3 million, and phase 1B is $4.3 million. So if we're able to do the 9th to 7th on Florida Avenue, we have approximately $4.1 million, I believe, left. So if it comes in directly on the cost opinion, the CRA would have to add $1.2 million to it to complete it.
Do they have that much slop in the jar to be
Miss
able to
Roman
help?
is diligently going on her laptop right now. You can see the smoke coming off the keyboard as she looks for that number.
That's a hell of a lot of couch cushion change, but
I'm sorry, the question is about the CRA commitment?
could the CRA bridge that roughly $1.2 million gap, though, if we went ahead with the first phase?
It depends on the timeline. Could they do it today? Yes, but it would override all the other budget items. So I would say that it would have to be done in phases. We couldn't do it in 1 year.
And likely if
CRA.
we move forward with bidding this project out, by the time it's time to award the project, we will be in fiscal year 27 or right at fiscal year 27 and could add more in the budget for that to cover it. Shifting around some of the existing CRA projects.
CRA Director, do you have any thoughts here you care to enlighten us with? Your thoughts?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. What you see, the cost estimates that you're seeing in the agenda packet is just an educated guess. Fact is that if we want to move forward with this project, we have to bid it out. Otherwise, the state will never grant us any funding for this. So once we get these bids for the individual phases, we know exactly how much it will cost. And at that point, we can determine how we can pay for these phases. Maybe we might be able to afford phase 1A and phase 1B at the same time. We have seen this in the past with the Tennessee Avenue sidewalk project, for example. The cost estimate was at 1.2 million to construct it, and it came in at 623. So well below the anticipated budget. And that's why I'm saying right now, what you see there is an educated guess. We know for a fact whenever we get the bid numbers in, then we know for sure how much it will cost. My recommendation would be to advertise the bidding this project and then take it from there and then decide which phase we should focus on.
And we'll make a note that typically we do not bring to the commission to ask to bid a project out, but with the likelihood of this coming in over budget as far as what we have for the grant, we wanted to bring it to the commission and discuss it before bidding it out. We may bid it out and there may be no dollar spent from the CRA. It may be 100% able to be expensed from the grant funding.
And once you bid it out, we have to accept a bid.
You don't have to accept the bids. You can reject all bids.
Okay.
But if we do reject the bids, we will forego the grant.
Right.
And
we'll have a better idea of whether we can do this in phases or whatnot.
Out of pocket versus a grant, right?
And timelines on the grants. Are there expiration dates on the grant?
Is there anything specifically time sensitive to this,
Yes, sir. There is a time stamp on the grant.
which is that kind of sunsets when? You know, by chance?
As of today, the grant agreement will sunset in September of this year. We already submitted a request to extend the grant by another 12 months. So that would, if we were to advertise the construction now, this would give us enough time to actually do the construction and to fully utilize the grant amount that was awarded.
And if we bid this out and it comes in where we can only do a portion of one phase, then we would submit that to the funding source. They would approve it, and then you all would approve moving forward with it. Again, not expensing any money out of the city's pocket.
So again, we can descope it just like the other thing we talked with the James
As
Rogers
long as the
part.
funding source approves, yes, sir.
I make a motion to approve.
Go ahead, Commissioner Tender.
Oh, did he make a motion to approve it?
Yes, ma'am.
We're still kind of, I was trying to ask you and the other two commissioners if y'all had any thoughts on this.
Oh, I got lots of thoughts on this one.
Well, go ahead.
I've been watching this very carefully, and Ben has been keeping up with me on, where we're at with things and stuff. The timing of this is going to be crucial for all the businesses located in that area, number one. And all the work, I hope they do it in the middle of summer so they can work all night instead of during the day. And I just mostly want to keep in the foreground the fact that the elderly shop down there. They eat across the street. They eat at our place. We now have a new Slice House Pizza coming to open up any day right across the street from us. And we have, of course, Wild Root. But the elderly are on canes and they're on walkers. And I just want that to be kept in mind when we do this. So we're not doing something that just turns into a big shutdown in that area.
Yeah.
And that's all I really have to say. I'm watching it like a hawk to see what's happening next.
I've got a few thoughts too, but I want to respectfully defer to the other commissioners first. Commissioner Peebles, do you have anything, sir?
I think we need to go ahead and approve this before the time runs out so we don't lose the grant money and then go from there.
Mayor Pro Tem Perno.
I'll second the motion by Commissioner Ward.
The fundamental difference here is we have a grant and we don't know how much it's going to cost. We will have a better idea of cost once you actually run this to ground. And if we say no on this one, unlike the other one where it's completely out of pocket, we have $4.1 million in grants and a very possible $1.2 million gap we'd have to fund if we press forward. But if we do nothing, we lose the $4.2 or $4.1 million grant, correct?
That's right. And as a reminder, it's the CRA would fund it, not general fund.
Fair point. Now, one question, Ben, do you have that much in your couch cushions in the CRA? If that's what it takes to bridge just that first phase, let's say it comes in on the high end and it's 5.3 and we get a grant for 4.1, Are you comfortable with that 1.2 million delta in the CRA for the CRA given area?
I think that's a question to be answered once the bids come in and we look at what time it is, as far as where we fall within the fiscal year and the budget.
It's about setting priorities by the CRA board. If we focus on this project, which I think is a very important project, then we may have to put other CRA projects that I'm currently working on hold. But then they eventually will come back whenever the funding is.
It becomes a financial balancing at that point and
Sir.
just prioritizing what we're going to do with our CRA funds at that juncture. Okay, good with that. So we have a motion and a second. Before we vote, is there any comments from the public on this particular topic? Johnny, you're unusually quiet. You good on this one, huh? You're going to pass. All right. Well, hearing none, City Manager, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Warwick?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Mayor Lowry?
Yes. All right. And last but certainly not least, item number 21 before public commentary. This was the ad that Commissioner Peebles asked for, and that is the ULDC kind of way ahead discussion.
Yeah. And Commissioner Peebles, funny, Ms. Grand Prix and I had this conversation about 3:30 this afternoon on our next steps after the workshop we had with Ray Greer. So just do kind of want to hear some feedback. We were planning on scheduling one-on-ones with each of you, but since you brought it up tonight, let's discuss it here publicly and decide, do we want to do more workshops to look at the ULDC and the comp plan, or do we want to continue the zoning route that was kind of initially chosen? I don't think that that's the desire after the workshop from the commission. We had anticipated, putting $200,000 in fiscal year 27's budget for the zoning, but we can still put money in the budget of fiscal year 27 to go the consulting route, whether it's zoning or the updates, or we can kind of do it a piece at a time in-house and bring to the commission via workshops, and then you all decide on the changes.
So I'll open up the floor here. Commissioner Peebles, since you asked for this, would you like to start us off, sir?
Sure. That kind of starts it for me, but I just wanted to pick y'all's brains since Sunshine Law, because I think it's time. The ULDC has been put on hold for too long, and I think after that workshop we had, to me it seemed pretty evident that we can do what we want to do with zoning with the ULDC. So let's update the ULDC and let's figure out the steps we want to take as a team to figure out to make that happen. First off, we need to know what our goal is before we're changing it, but I don't know if the one-on-ones make sense or a workshop. I kind of like the one-on-ones, and then when we get together publicly, we can talk about it, just because people tend to, have more defined priorities that they want when it's a one-on-one, and then we'll bring it publicly to discuss. But that's not like a hill I want to die on. Whatever route we want to take, I just want to get that discussion in our brains so we can kind of start working towards that together, because we got to do it.
Other commissioners. Commissioner Tender, do you have something you'd like to add, ma'am?
No, I don't think so. I approve. Let's go.
Commissioner Ward?
I'm of the opinion, from when I brought this up before, that we should do the comp plan first, because that's supposed to be your vision of what you want the city to look like, and that helps guide what you want in ULDC.
I'm fine with that. I think that is a really good idea, because that covers what you said, our vision on what we want to do before we change the ULDC. So,
and I also want to sit down with the planning director. I haven't sat down with her. Hopefully this Friday I'll see if I can get with her, but I'd like to pick her brain. And it's really good to have someone with a different perspective from a different place to come here and provide their perspective. So
there is an old Florida farmer term for this, and it's called plan your work, then work your plan. And we need that comprehensive overarching guidance. Jimmy Buffett would call it the navigational swim lanes or the navigational beacons. Let's establish those and press forward and update our ULDC. Mayor, I've got to practice this a little bit, but Mayor Pro Tem Perno, your thoughts, sir?
I'm good with whatever you want to do.
Well, it sounds like we're in just about violent agreement. Is that enough guidance for you out of the commission?
Do you all want some workshops, or do you want to just kind of start with one-on-ones with staff and then kind of build out from there and then have a workshop?
How about this? How about we have our brand new planning director sit down and do an initial hardcore scrub and identify key areas that we need to focus in on, that you need inputs from us on. Because a lot of this is going to be very technical and functional, subject matter expertise centric, right? Let's figure out where the gaps and seams are, and let's all come together and literally have meaningful input. But let the pros take the first whack at this, and then we'll jump in. That way we don't put too many cooks in the kitchen up front. And you go ahead and get your bouillabaisse started, and then we'll come in and help where we're needed. That work for everybody? All right. Now we're down to the new item 22. We have public commentary. We have two up. First, we have Miss Jerry Parker. Miss Parker, come on down.
Oh, public commentary.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
I want to just give some information in reference to, I went to a candidate forum about a little bit over a week ago. And there's one person in particular, I had seen a post on our Beacon about David Agosta. I guess he was a Callaway resident that tried to go for a commission seat, and he didn't win. So, but anyway, he was very comparable to Jim Norton, who was one of the candidates. And I just want to give y'all some information regarding that, because I know that Christy McElroy sent y'all information. So I did a little text to him. So I just said, just a FYI, I just read what you said about Norton. Let me give you a situation that took place with Norton and a St. Joe citizen at Piggly Wiggly. He demeaned that person and kept yelling, and I'm not going to say the verbal word, but F you, loudly inside the store several times at the other person, and others heard his vulgar words. So no, I will never support a piece of crap like that, ever. And he's a superintendent of schools. This man is, Jim Norton. Not a good person speaking to someone like that, and he doesn't deserve a seat in Congress, in my opinion. So I just wanted to let y'all know about Jim Norton. He's not a good person, and he should not be able to run. You have something to say, Jamie?
I'm just trying to figure out if this is the forum for this.
Well, I just wanted to give this information because Christy had given y'all information in reference to this. So that's the reason why I'm giving y'all the information in reference to this. Okay. Y'all don't have to agree with me or anything, but I'm just saying that this is the information that I'm giving. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. David Wagner. Mr. Wagner, I like your hat, sir. It's very patriotic. Thank you, sir.
I'd like to very humbly thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm from 1506 Illinois Avenue, David Wagner. It's great to hear from Mrs. Tender voice. Hello to our new city stewards. Thank you for all you. You've turned things around in this city. But I have a problem with the parks. I may run out of time. Everyone likes the term walk in the park. Sounds good and free. It's what we all want. Things were pretty difficult for some of us back in the previous years, where things were not as ethical as they are now. Once I was passing by some basketball kids after I played tennis, and I just innocently asked to play basketball, thinking they might play 4-on-1, etc. I was caught off guard by the actions of this one kid, because they're all coached to be afraid of guys or strangers, whatever. It was very strange, and I simply said, hey, I'm not a bad guy. I live around here. Turns out within a half an hour, him and his parents called the police, and there were 4 squad cars at my house an hour later, thinking I'm some kind of a predator. I'm a E6 retired Air Force, 31 years at the Department of Defense, background checks for 32 years, would never break the law because I have a pension. My wife's sitting back there. I love her. It turns out that really, I found out weeks later that the kid got with his parents, and that's what okay, I'm reading. Okay. Anyway, the cops took it, what they did, hook, line, and sinker, and they kicked me out of the parks forever. They never, and let me tell you how he did it. He was, I called up the next morning when these guys came out of my house. I said, why'd y'all come out? You know, I just was going to ask to play basketball. And he said, no, and I left. And I said, let me tell you good things about me the next morning. I said, I'm called the Good Samaritan in my neighborhood. I'm very kind-hearted, help people with hurricane stuff, you know, money for tree removal, whatever you want to say. I can't read this. But, shoot. And this cop, when I said that I put all the trees up at Ken Griffin Park, I put them up. Those little trees, the 20 around the fence area, I did that in 2 days. No one else did that, and I saved those trees. That's why they're still growing. And I compared that. I said that was my Iwo Jima moment. You know what he did? He screamed at me. He said, how dare you compare yourself to Iwo Jima? Do you know what he said? Because of what the little kids might have said him? He said, you're trespassed from all parks in the city for the rest of your life. You know, he didn't tell me why. He didn't check my ID card. He didn't treat me with human dignity or anything. And this guy is probably still working here, probably getting promoted and everything. And by screaming at me, he said, I have mental problems. Go get mental help. Like I said, all I did is ask to play basketball. Now, this is happening by people like this all over the place. This is a travesty. Anyway, Mr. Tendall or anyone would want to help me, I can give you my phone number and we can resolve this. We're good. We're not second-class citizens, me and my wife. We're good people.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like public commentary? Mr. Bashir?
First, let me apologize for taking up so much time tonight. I really did not intend that.
You ask good questions most of the time.
I've got one question. I want to go back to the 7 items on the referendum. One of them, number 4, says total project cost, annual and overall. That's targeted specifically at projects. If you look at like stormwater right now, it's not really a project. So I think the wording on that may be a little off if you're just focusing just on projects. It's going to be really hard to tell you a total project cost of something that's going to run 10 years that you're funding all the time. It might be a good thing to do, but I think project costs might be a misnomer in this instance.
Point taken, and thank you. The core crux of that, and I know we've talked about this a little bit, Johnny, it's we must do our utmost due diligence and give that as clearly and succinctly and as detailed but informatively as we possibly can, right? And then when things change, if you have hyperinflation or a Cat 5 hurricane plow into you and change the whole dynamics, you'd have to deal with that when it comes, right? But clear start, clear end, clear purpose, clear cost as utmost as we can possibly get it. And we'll have to flex, to your point, to the rest. Thank you for that. Mr. Schweitzer, come on up. Good evening. Almost didn't recognize you with a beard.
Yeah, I'm old. I'm going to try my hardest to be positive because I know it's been a long meeting. I was watching at home and you guys started talking about James E. Rogers and that got me out here.
Okay.
Please don't leave that park like it is. I don't know if you've seen it. Those telephone poles are probably 40 years old. There's wires hanging down. The concrete's all cracked. The swings are old. I don't really even mind the swings. I'm not expecting a perfect park. If you could just take this in, I feel like what's going to happen is the bids are going to come in too high and nothing's going to be done. And that's going to be an abandoned park. It is now. And I'll tell you right now that the maintenance, they do a good job. It's not completely abandoned because they do come through, they mow that area and they keep it's not overgrown. Other than that, it's abandoned right now. So if I could ask for a creative solution and maybe take it in phases, Maybe just start taking down the poles and the wiring and the old cameras and some of the equipment that is really, ugly. Instead of just thinking, oh, it has to be this all new basketball court and all new sod and everything, I'm not opposed to throwing grass seed out there. Just pull the stuff out and throw grass seed down. Okay, so I just want a creative solution and I want to see progress. I don't care if it's done. I just want to see some sort of progress. Number two, we have a real problem with the police department here, and I want an investigation. That man right there, I don't know his full story, but if that's true, that all he did is ask to play basketball and the police believed the mom and the kid, and now he can't go to the park anymore, there's a problem. That's the second time we had a problem with a mom whose little girl was playing in the front yard and the police just come down so hard on them. We have a real problem. I'm not even going to get into FLOT because I'll get triggered. We have a real problem and you have to address that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I will say, just Mr. Schweitzer, I believe Mr. Wagner, how long ago did that happen, sir? Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you, sir. I just wanted to add some context.
Okay. All right. Well, we have our public commentary for tonight. Is there any more? Final call for public commentary. All right. We'll move on into the mayor's report, the old item 22, the new item 23. It's been a long meeting. I'm sorry. We'd gotten away from these, but we just had a lot of weighty issues to talk about tonight. So thank y'all that came out and stayed with us tonight, rode through it. We'll try to wrap this up, but thank you sincerely for being here. And I thank the commission for your due diligence and your patience here. That's all I've got. Proud
Mayor?
to serve. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to ask because I didn't understand. I think I recognized the voice, but who was the last speaker?
Dave Switzer.
Okay, thank
Or
you.
did
very
you
much.
mean David Wagner?
Talking about Dave Wagner?
I'm talking about the last person who spoke,
Dave Switzer.
whoever that was.
Oh, and
Yeah.
public commentary.
About-
Yes, ma'am. That
he's
was
the-
David's. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
Yes, ma'am. But otherwise, happy to be here, proud to serve. Sir, I will talk to you. I'll be glad to talk to you after this meeting. Fellow veteran and fellow resident. Figure out what happened there 6 years ago. Definitely hear that. That's all I've got. So Mayor Pro Tem Perno, you're up. Commissioners report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief. I just wanted everyone to know, if you don't already know, that starting Thursday, the 15th, the 16th, the 17th, and the 18th at the Panama Country Club, there will be the 99th Sherman Invitational, which is the oldest and longest running consecutive amateur golf tournament in the Southeast United States.
Cool.
We are 1 year away from having our 100th invitational. The Panama Country Club, if you've ever been, does a wonderful job with this tournament. It's flighted for all skill levels and all ages. I'll be participating as a super senior for the first time since I turned 65 back in March. So fun. But as well as fun, people travel here from all over the South to play in this tournament every year. It kind of turns. It's kind of a small little mecca for golf, and Lynn Haven is the power center for it. It's really cool. With that being said, be cognizant of some people coming and going down 9th Street, you know, and let's wish for the best weather for the participants. As far as Ms. Parker, I know she's probably gone, but I know she spoke of a candidate for the U.S. Congress. There is a candidate for U.S. Congress who is a Lynn Haven resident, a Lynn Haven kid, went to Mosley High School. So do your research. We have a local individual who's running for the Congress seat from Lynn Haven. So graduated in Mosley in 2009. So I got to meet him, and I'll let everyone do their diligence. But heck of a man. I met him and shook his hand. So also, I'd just like to pay my respects to the life of Mr. State Senator Bill Posey. I read the email from Chris in his morning notes, and Bill Posey passed away at the age of 78. He was a resident of Rockledge, Florida. I formerly lived there. He passed away in Melbourne. This man was a champion for the Indian River Estuary. He helped establish the national designation for the estuary program down there. The Indian River Lagoon suffered from development drastically. The manatee population took a big hit. The algae, stuff like the pollution was just unbearable down there, and they've tried to turn it around, and they're making progress, but it's a fight. And this man was one of the people who got it going, as well as everything else he did. And he had a career in real estate. He worked at McDonnell Douglas. He was a state representative and a state senator here. So we don't know him, but I had to show a little Central Florida pride. I don't know if Chief Johnson ever knew of him, but he was a great guy. So with that being said, and then I'd just like to tell, I know I voted no on a previous item, Commissioner Warwick. I know in the past, my no vote was more of a message that, hey, in the past, those were the decisions I made. I made them in the same seat that you're in as a leader, okay, as a perceived leader, because you probably don't perceive it that way, but that's your opinion, and I respect an individual's opinion, okay? To be frank, there was a time, and it was when we were doing the first referendum questions, that I asked for one of the questions to be about the clerk. And I support bringing that question to the public, because ultimately that's what we're voting on, is getting that to referendum. So the nuts and bolts of it and how it's going to be spent, those were factors in my decision not to have one, because it was presented to me that it was going to be at a great expense. Now, we've formulated a way through your diligence, which I appreciate, that it might not be that expensive. And we have a city manager who is obligatory. He's obliging to it. So there is a different set of circumstances now. Not sour grapes over what happened in the past. And I'll leave it at that. And with that, I'd like to thank our city employees and staff, and that's my report.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Peebles.
Thank you, Mayor. This past week, I had the honor of coming here in the courtyard for the National Day of Prayer with First Baptist of Lynn Haven. Put it on. It was a great event. Thank you to them for putting that on. Also want to remind everyone that we got our TPO meeting coming up at the end of this month. Commissioner Perno and I will be there for that, fighting for Lynn Haven. Last one, we had to do a little bit more fighting than I thought we would, but I think we got our way. And thank you, Mayor Lowry, for this token. It was very thoughtful. Thank you.
You're most welcome, sir. Thank you for your service.
Absolutely. And sorry, Commissioner Warwick, if I got a little heated earlier. Just want to be, just got to say my piece, and I hope we can move forward and continue to make Lynn Haven better. And that being said, that's all I got to report. Thank you to all the staff, but specifically I want to shout out the sports or the Parks and Rec, but also sports. Parks and Rec has been really good working, like giving me information on tree give outs and things like that. And then the sports department, I met with the Commissioner Tinder brought up that the letter that was sent to her about the stuff with the baseball and softball. So Justin Ward was kind enough to meet with me and that citizen, and we workshopped some things. And I know you guys know this already, but Justin is an extremely smart man. Yeah. Like I had some ideas and then he told me some stuff and I was like, that's a better idea. And yeah, so that was really fun. It's really fun to workshop with people and bounce ideas off and see what you can come up with when you work together. But that's all I have. Thanks everybody, and hope you enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Ward.
I don't have a whole lot. All of you should have received an invitation for the Bay County League of Cities for the 8th of June, where we'll have the base commander, Colonel Bergholt, talk about the construction going out to the base and the arrival of the F-35s. So if you're interested in that, I think I responded to you. Is it CJ? Okay. So if you plan on going, please respond to that, and we'll add you to the list. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Tinder.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm very glad you're doing better.
I'm doing much better. A few things that I would like to say is we have an outstanding police department. They're there for the most ridiculous things and the most important. And I don't know how they do it with the staff they do, but I do appreciate it. And as far as our fire department, I hear those sirens going off all the time. So I know they're on the road, and I appreciate them too. One of the things, by the way, this is really important. Congratulations to Commissioner Perno for our Mayor Pro Temp. That means you have to bring coffee for everyone when you get there.
I don't think you want my coffee, Judy.
Also, the other thing, where is it? I had circled it. Oh, I tend to go back. I do tend to go back to things that happened a long time ago. And I guess it's because I never want us to forget how far we have come, or maybe the few curves we've taken along the way. For example, the hours at the park. I understand why we have to have them, because we have junk going on down there. I'm concerned with who's going to oversee that. But to Mr. Switzer, I'd say just throw a fishing pole in your trunk, buddy, and you're safe all night as long as you stay out on the bridge. And I don't know. We had a point where there was a couple that fed the cats down there at Porter Park, and it was a very personal issue for them. And they fed the cat, and then before we knew it, that was Chief Ramey stepped in and said they were going to get arrested for leaving these little paper containers with cat food in them. And so that they were elderly, and they backed off on that. And just things like that we have progressed from. And then we seem to backtrack. And I just hope that we keep our residents at heart. I hope they're the ones that know why this is happening. And even if we try 2 or 3 different things to see if it works better or if it's worse or whatever, it's better than doing nothing. And I just think that's kind of important to keep in mind. Yes, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I just got home. And that gives you a lot of time to think about reality and what's important and what's not. And let me tell you, honesty and transparency is the most important thing. It is the most important thing because we have been brought in, elected by our community to do those things and to be those things. And if we can't do that for them, then we're just not doing our job. So I really think we need to, I think we just need to keep all that in mind. And we'll just sit back and see what happens with all these things going on. And I'm game. So anyway, thank you all for the kind words and everything. Yes, I did get my chocolate ice cream on the way home from the hospital yesterday. And that was important.
Awesome.
So, with that said, I'm done. Thank you.
We're proud of you for bouncing back and wish you the speediest of recoveries and hope with any luck, we'll have you back with us sitting up here at our next meeting in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. I will be there.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, ma'am. City manager.
Yes, sir. A couple things going on. Just a reminder, we've started working on our budgets. We've got the budget workshop scheduled for May 21st at 5:30 p.m. We have successfully gone live with our .gov domain. So you'll start seeing the cityoflynnhaven.com. Go to cityoflynnhaven.gov. There won't be any issues. It'll just automatically redirect to the new website, as well as your email addresses will forward right on. But we are officially on the .gov domain. Reminder, hurricane season starts June 1st. Please check your hurricane supply and make sure you're ready for this season. The final concert of the spring concert series was rescheduled due to rain. The new date is Friday, June 5th from 6 to 8 p.m., and it is the Will Thompson Band, so we will have a pretty big turnout for that one. Splash Pad will open this weekend. Saturday hours are 10 to 4, and Sunday hours are 1 to 4. It's weekends only for now until school lets out, until it goes to the normal hours. A reminder that we have the Touch a Truck with our first responders this Saturday, May 16th. We are working on an apparel store. Justin has been working with one of our vendors to have an online store for our sports parents. They can go online and purchase team shirts or hats or hoodies. So apologies to Commissioner Peebles. It's going to cost him a little more money now to go buy some shirts and stuff for his wife and family. But especially the teams that are going to All-Stars, the parents will be able to buy some apparel to wear for that. And we will receive a little bit of money back on that as well to the city. We're going to do a little trial run, and if it is successful, we will bring a contract modification to the commission for the All Mega Sports. Reminder, we have a town hall Saturday, May 23rd. And then shout out to CJ. I don't know if you all have seen it, but we have a new public records request module that went live. She has done a great job getting that established. It's a new tracking system for public records. It can be submitted via the portal. Will allow, if multiple requests are submitted, people can go and see that an old public records request and be a little bit more efficient way of submitting those for our residents or for anyone who wants to submit a public records request. With that, any questions for Ms. Roman with the checklist?
Got anything for us tonight, Kiki? All right. Last but certainly not least, City Attorney.
I have two things I want to let you know. I have distributed to each of you a legislative report. This is from the Florida League of Cities. The first 30 pages are bills that passed. The last 40 are bills that did not pass, but likely will come back again. So if you don't want to read it all, pay attention to the first 30. I'm meeting with staff to go over some of the bills that I think will affect the city either immediately or next year. And as a result of that, I do expect some ordinances to come back that will immediately affect you regarding the comp plan and the ULDC. So not to get ahead of your efforts, but Gina and I were already talking about things that needed to happen just to keep up with the legislation. The second thing I wanted to let you know is about over a year ago, the firefighters petitioned to form a union. And today, the hearing officer recommended an order to approve that bargaining unit. So I just wanted to update you on that. As soon as the commission approves that order, an election will follow for the 21 employees that it will affect. That's my report.
Thank you, ma'am. And if there is nothing else, we will adjourn. Have a good night, everybody.